Mic check for the YouTube stream. Mic check for the YouTube stream.
Thank you.
Through the chair, the YouTube stream is set up. You can proceed.
Good afternoon again. You know who I am now. So, in accordance with Sections 45 and 53 of the Planning Act 1990 as amended, this meeting of the Committee of Adjustment of the City of Toronto is called to order in the afternoon session. The Committee of Adjustment considers applications for variances from provisions of the zoning that applies to property, permission to extend or alter lawful non-conforming uses, and consents to sever property to create new lots. As part of our opening, we are acknowledge the land acknowledgement. We acknowledge the land we are meeting on is the traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat peoples. It is now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis peoples. We also acknowledge that Toronto is covered by Treaty 13 with the Mississaugas of the Credit and the Williams Treaty signed with multiple Mississaugas and Chippewa bands. Committee of Adjustment hearings are now conducted in a hybrid in-person and virtual format. Some applicants and participants will make their submissions in person, and others will participate virtually by electronic means through WebEx, an online digital platform. The meetings are also streamed on the Toronto City Planning YouTube channel, and anyone wishing to view the hearing may watch on YouTube. Those who want to watch those who want to participate virtually and have registered in advance will be connecting with their computer, tablet, smartphone, or telephone and have the option of participating via video or audio only. All virtual participants will automatically be muted on entry. When your item is called, you'll be unmuted by the moderator, one person at a time. We ask that you also mute your devices until you're called on to speak. Those participating by video appearance will be temporarily upgraded to panelist when your item is being held. During this time, your camera will be enabled. You will only be visible during your 5-minute allocated speaking time. At all other times, your video will be disabled and you will be reinstated as an attendee. For both in-person and virtual participants, Committee of Adjustment staff will share presentations submitted in accordance with the written submission deadlines. Those participating through WebEx are not allowed to use share screen or any other panelist controls during a video appearance. The host will remove you from the panelist role if you fail to respect this instruction. Receiving a copy. People attending in person today who want to receive a copy of the decision of the committee on an application must fill out a decision request card, and those participating virtually need to submit a written request for a decision by email. Please ensure that you include your name, address, and email address because the Committee of Adjustment and the local T-Lab will be sending notifications and appeal updates by email. Excuse me for a second. If you do not agree with the decision of the committee, you may be able to appeal the decision to the Toronto Local Appeal Body or in some limited circumstances to the Ontario Land Tribunal. However, the provincial government amending the Planning Act and generally removed rights of third parties to appeal Committee of Adjustment decisions. Only the applicant, the Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing, specified persons and public bodies are permitted to appeal decisions of the Committee of Adjustment. Appeal instructions are set out at the bottom of the decision. Hearing procedure. I will call each item in the order listed on the agenda. When an application is uncontested, the agent or applicant may proceed with their presentation if desired. When the committee does not require a presentation, applicants are to advise the chair should they wish to speak to the committee. The committee may ask questions and/or take matters into committee for a decision. Each speaker, including the applicant agent, will be given a maximum of 5 minutes to address the committee. I will comment when you're reaching the 5 minutes. There's a timer up there. Any presentation or other materials you wish to submit to the committee must have been emailed in advance of the hearing. Staff and committee members cannot accept materials at the hearing. When addressing the committee, please clearly state your name and address. Please confine your remarks to matters outlined in the application. The applicant or agent will proceed first and will make a presentation to the committee on the application. Please note that the committee may not entertain revisions to the proposal at the hearing today. The committee may decide to defer applications if substantially revised to ensure the revised application is accurate and that all those entitled to receive notice are informed of the changes. Then individuals, either in support or opposition to the application, will be invited to speak. Generally, we will call on speakers in the hearing room first, and then those participating through Wendex. Committee members may ask questions of each speaker after they finish their presentation. When all speakers are finished, the applicant has an opportunity to rebut only those issues that were raised by speakers. That will mark the end of the discussion. The application will then be taken into committee for a decision. Okay. Our first application this afternoon is a consent application to create 3 lots.
Through the chair, you may wish to ask if there are any conflicts of interest and deferral requests.
Okay. Are there any declarations of interest of panel or staff for the items in the afternoon agenda?
Through the chair, there are none from staff.
Okay. Are there any deferral requests for the afternoon agenda?
Through the chair, there are none.
Are there any files to be closed?
Through the chair, there are none.
Okay. Then we will proceed with the afternoon session. I have a listing here of 6 people in person. I have the agent listed as virtual.
I've decided to come, Madam Chair.
It's a beautiful rainy day to spend in the committee room. And I have a second person as virtual. So the applicant is in place. Those who wish to speak on the item, would you just, where you're sitting, would you just raise your hands? Only 3? Okay. 4, all right. The applicant has 5 minutes, so it will take a few minutes anyways. All right. As I said, this is an application for a consent to create 3 lots. Part 1 has a frontage of 11.11 meters and an area of 396.5 square meters. Part 2 is a similar frontage and area. Both those parts are for a duplex dwelling. Part 3 have a frontage of 19.29 meters and an area of 588 square meters. There are a number of variances for all 3 of the consents being created. Mr. Burkowski,
Good afternoon, Madam Chair. Good afternoon, Committee.
do you wish to make a presentation?
I think I will. If we could bring up the support material I provided staff with. So this is a severance of a through and through lot. The lot today has two frontages. It has an existing dwelling that sits on the Morningside frontage and essentially a detached garage in the rear yard that would basically front the Grey Abbey side of it. I would also note the lot on the Grey Abbey side is a whole lot from an underlying plan of subdivision. That's not overly relevant other than the fact that it is a whole lot that could just be legally pinned and legally conveyed under the Planning Act, as it is a whole lot under the underlying plan of subdivision. If we could just go to there, that's exactly it right there. So what we see is the house that fronts onto Morningside at the top of the screen and that garage on the south. If we could go to slide 3, please. This is now the third time we're here before the committee from one deferral by my request and a second deferral due to improper notification. This has undergone significant changes from the original proposal that was before. Could we go to the next slide, please? I believe it is a chart that I provided exactly. What we've done here is I've just taken a chart and shown you what's been altered, what has remained unchanged. The blue portions have remained unchanged, the yellow portions have been removed, and the white portions have been essentially reduced. So in summary, the only built form variance that is before you today is for an interior side yard setback between the two proposed dwellings on Morningside. Building length is in compliance for all three proposed dwellings. Building height is in compliance for all three proposed dwellings. Building main wall height is in compliance for all three dwellings. Additionally, in terms of the side yard setbacks for the Grey Abbey side, they are significantly larger than what is permitted under the zoning bylaw. On the Morningside side, again, as I previously mentioned, the only request for a variance is the interior between the two proposed dwellings, which is a reduction of 0.3 meters. If we could go to the next slide, please. I don't want to spend too much time on this. I did just include this as an excerpt because there was some confusion at the first hearing over the use of the words duplex. So what I have just provided you here is a copy of the zoning bylaw amendment 474/2023 that specifically permits duplexes in this neighborhood. I don't want to dwell on it, but again, just worth showing. If we could go 2 slides down, please. I did prepare a quick lot study of the frontages within this immediate context, and I want to relate this back to the variance request and how the minimum lot frontage request is worded. In parts of Scarborough, which really is the only part of the city that has this, the minimum lot frontage is essentially that which existed on the date of the passing of this bylaw. So the Morningside lot has an existing frontage today of 22.5 meters, which means the minimum lot frontage coincides to 22.5 meters. If we zoom in on any of the lots there, for example, the lot to the immediate north has an existing lot frontage today of 13.71 meters. That would mean that the minimum lot frontage requirement for that lot would be 13.71 meters. It would not be 22.5 meters. And that coincides also with lot area that is identical to that also. In terms of the character of this portion of Morningside itself, just to walk you through this lot study, the average on 51 Morningside of the lot frontages without the subject property is 13.71 meters. The existing lot frontage of 51 Morningside is 22.5 meters. That is 8.5 meters larger than the average of the lot frontages along Morningside itself. If we can continue next, when we talk about compatibility of how it would fit in with the neighborhood, we sort of speak to the massing and how it would address the street. And I just want to address quickly a policy of the official plan of 4.1.5C, which speaks to prevailing heights, massing, scale, density, and dwelling type of nearby residential properties. Could we just go to the next slide? Please, I'm trying to get through this as quick as I can. I've done here is I've actually taken the permitted massing of one dwelling if it were to face Morningside itself. That one dwelling with compliant side yard setbacks would be 19.28 meters wide or 71 feet 8 in imperial. That translates to being 4.82 meters wider than the next largest lot along Morningside. If we continue to the next slide, I've now given you the massing of what we are proposing along Morningside. Again, the test is compatibility. It's to respect and reinforce what is within the neighborhood itself. Here, we see a massing that is much more similar to what exists along along Morningside with the severance that is being proposed before you today. And that's my 5 minutes, Madam Chair. I'd be happy to answer any questions if there are any at this time.
Thank you. Okay.
Thank you for your presentation. Crystal clear, and thank you.
Mr. Khan?
Thank you, Madam. Through you. Sir, my question is, as you have projected, in the area all frontage is more than 11.25. Why you are applying such a low to disturb the community?
Through you, Madam Chair, if we could bring up that lot frontage map I had there. The existing lot today at 22.5 meters is significantly larger than every other lot within the neighborhood along this portion of Morningside. Even if we just look at that scale of it adjacent to every other property, essentially this would be the only possibility of any type of a severance to occur along this stretch of Morningside. So the idea of destabilization or altering the landscape simply isn't there. The fact is the way the lot sits today is not in character with the neighborhood. The proposal we're trying to bring forth with the reduced lot frontage, again, being essentially 2 meters lower, is the difference between that 2 and the 8 meters of where it's greater than the next largest lot. I would say the compatibility of being 2 meters smaller as opposed to over 8 meters larger with, again, taking into account that we're taking a property that today could house one family, and we're proposing it to be zoning bylaw compliant as well as official plan compliant with 6 units. That promotes PPS, the growth plan, as well as the policies of the official plan.
Sir, my next question is, should we take the consent and the variances together or separately?
Through you, Madam Chair, I'm in your hands on that. I don't know if it's my role to tell you how to evaluate an application like that. I'm in your hands, committee. That's something you can decide to do. I don't think that's my place to tell you how to interpret my application in that sense.
Sir, with a bit of assistance from the staff, we have started a new procedure where we consider the consents and variances all as one application. You addressed the consent applications. You did not address the variance applications. So as long as it is satisfactory to staff, I'm going to give you another 5 minutes to address the variance applications so that all the applications that we have in front of us are here and that the community can hear that.
Sure, I'd be happy to do that if that's permitted.
Through the chair, usually the 5 minutes is allotted to the item, not the application.
But we've got 4 applications.
Understood.
Okay. All right. We're going to give you the extra 5 minutes to discuss the variances.
I'll be very brief in that. I think I touched on the lot frontage and the lot area, that compatibility of how it fits within the neighborhood. Again, the request, and I just want to go back and stress that the request is not for a 22.5 meter frontage. It is what exists on the date of the passing of this bylaw. So every dwelling on this street, whatever that frontage is, it would mirror that. In terms of the minor variances that are being proposed, again, the only built form variance that's leading to an increase of FSI or coverage is a reduction of 0.3 meters on the interior of the dwellings that are being proposed. I would also like a side note, under the new multiplex zoning bylaw, I did bring up there, FSI is actually not regulated within it. There was some talk when they brought this in that there are portions of Scarborough as well as Etobicoke that were not included because these are actually exceptions that say the 0.6 or 250 square meters, whichever is less. So those actual exceptions weren't folded in to the new draft zoning bylaw amendment that permits multiplexes throughout the city. That will change. I'm not saying we're here for that today, but just as a bit of history, throughout the whole city, FSI is actually not regulated by the multiplex zoning bylaw. As long as you are complying with everything else, you are okay. But again, just to circle back to the coverage as well as that lot area, in terms of where the houses have been appropriated on the land, there's no issue in terms of privacy or overlook, as the only second floor window on the two Morningside houses is for an interior den that is located in the middle of the dwelling. In terms of the desirability, again, I spoke to the PPS as well as the growth plan. The decks, and if we wanted to bring up the floor plans, the decks on the interior of the proposed dwellings on Morningside are actually located between the two proposed dwellings on the interior. They're not on the exterior, again, limiting any type of overlook or privacy. And just to reiterate again, zoning bylaw compliant with front, rear, exterior side yard setbacks, as well as height. I think the big one also is the revision we made to the height to be zoning bylaw compliant with the height.
Okay, indulge me for a minute here. I have as variances of coverage variance of 38.16 times the lot area versus 33.
Correct.
That's a variance that is in front of us. Is that no longer?
No, Madam Chair. All the variants are still in front of you. I was just giving a brief background of the multiplex zoning bylaw and how it's addressed really throughout the city, other than parts of Scarborough and parts of Etobicoke.
Okay, so our coverage of 38.16 versus 33 is still in front of us?
Correct, Madam Chair.
The FSI of 0.7 times lot area versus 6 times lot area is still in front of us?
Correct, Madam Chair.
Okay. And you've addressed the frontage and the lot area, and you said there is a side yard setback of 0.9?
Yes, between the two proposed dwellings on Morningside, they are zoning bylaw compliant to the existing neighboring properties to the north as well as the south.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm still on the variances then. For the dwelling on Grey Abbey Trail, you have a frontage and an area which is identified through the consent application. So your frontage is 19.29 versus 22.25?
Correct, Madam Chair. That would be the existing, essentially the existing frontage of what sits there today on Grey Abbey.
And the area is 588?
Correct.
FSI is 0.675?
Correct, Madam Chair.
Versus 0.5, and the coverage is 39.93 versus 33.
Correct, Madam Chair.
Okay, all right. Sorry I had to do all that. I wasn't sure what you were telling me there.
I was just trying to provide a little bit of overview of what the vision for the multiplex zoning bylaw is and where it is in the rest of the city, and it will be coming to Scarborough in that manner.
Okay. Unfortunately, it's not in Scarborough.
Absolutely, Madam Chair.
Yet, so we're trying to deal with what we have in front of us. Okay. Yes, I have another question here.
Thank you, madam, and thank you, sir. I will draw your kind attention towards variance number 2. That's the lot area. You are proposing 396.5 meters square. Requirement is 1318.5 meters square.
Correct.
Way less.
Sorry?
It is quite less
Well,
than required.
through you, Madam Chair, if we could maybe even just bring up a survey, that 1385 is the entirety of the property. So that 1385 includes all of the portion that fronts both Grey Abbey as well as Morningside. So that's the entire rectangle that sits there today. Yes, if we zoom in, so the entirety of this parcel today is 1385. So again, that goes back to the zoning bylaw and the way it's worded. The minimum lot area is that what exists on the date of the passage of this bylaw. Because this is now one lot, the minimum lot area is the entirety of it. So in reality, yes, the Grey Abbey lot can be severed technically, can be pinned, and can be conveyed under the Planning Act tomorrow. That's irrelevant to that because, again, it is the whole of the lot. Again, the idea that the zoning bylaw stipulates that, it would be the same for the lots to the north, where their lot area today would be their frontage. It's a varying number. There's no, unless you have matching frontages and lot depths and lot areas from lot to lot, every dwelling essentially within these areas would have a different minimum lot frontage and would have a different minimum lot area. Then that takes us back to the test of how it fits in terms of compatibility with what's in the neighborhood. If we take the broad number of 1385, that's really not in compatibility with any part of the neighborhood as it would exist today.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay. And we have in front of us 3 consent applications.
Correct, Madam Chair.
Okay, so for 2 new lots on Morningside, or 1 lot plus the remnant on Morningside, and you're asking for a consent to create the lot on Grey Abbey Trail, although you don't technically need that?
No, I do need it, Madam Chair. What I'm saying is we've done this as one in terms of it being one application, but I was just, again, providing a little bit of background on the underlying plan of subdivision and how that was laid out initially as a lot.
Okay, all right. I think you're giving us too much information.
My apologies, Madam Chair.
Okay. So, any other questions? No? Okay. Would the people in the audience please come down to the podium? We'll wait until everyone gets down there.
Yeah.
Okay. So, would you give me your name and your address, please?
Is it mic's on? There we go. Good afternoon, Madam Chair and members of the committee. My name is Christine Penny, and I reside at 27 Fordover Drive, which is not far from the 51 Morningside. This application to sever the properties and build duplexes has multiple issues. Firstly, this application has been difficult to follow since the original submissions, many errors and inaccurate statements. Drawings that are not dated properly, which causes confusion. Oh, thank you. Causes confusion. This has not given given us a great sense of security that in all the documents that have been submitted. While variances speak for themselves, they demonstrate that homes for the 3 plots are too large. I acknowledge that this lot provides a unique set of challenges. The lot has been requested to be a heritage site because this is this area used to be apple orchard, the McKay farm. And so the reason that lot is so huge is that was the original homestead of the McKays. So I acknowledge that this lot provides a unique set of challenges, as mentioned. However, the homes are overdeveloped for this area. The FSI is too large and the setbacks are too small and should not be allowed. The density that is being proposed here is over and above what is typical. Density must be accommodated in a similar way to create a neighborhood that represents the current style and structure that has made the neighborhood a desirable area. The proposed units in no way fit into the official plan of development in neighborhoods will be consistent with this objective and will respect and reinforce the existing physical character of buildings, streetscapes, and open space patterns in these areas. These plans do not respect or reinforce the existing physical character of the area. There are no homes in this area with flat rooftops, and the existing buildings are not maxed out on the lots. The box design of these homes is not consistent with the existing physical character of the area. While neighborhoods are not to remain stagnant, they should be developed in ways to meet the existing neighborhood's intent and design. The proposed changes should be respectful of that and become part of the neighborhood, not stand out. We have been advised that these will be rental units. I doubt that this can be considered affordable housing due to the high cost of the acquisition of the land and then the builds. This could be considered to be a commercial endeavor, really, as it is a money-making venture. Again, changes should be gradual and in keeping with the existing neighborhood design, and changes should be beneficial for all, not just the corporation who will be profiting from it. There are many unanswered questions about how the volume of residents will impact the existing infrastructure. The landscaping, the grading plan, the lack of green space, and its stormwater runoff, which is a huge concern. It is also amazing to understand that 75-plus-year-old trees, 75-year-old trees, rather, not 75 trees, will be removed to develop this property. The parking of cars, how will that be accommodated? The reflex reactions to building faster and with more density are not thought through thoroughly. The issues that can come out of pushing this through will be for the existing residents to live and deal with in the future. What is done on one property should not impact others. Development is understandable, but it should be respectful. Also to note, along with the many letters of objection that have been submitted, we have 103 signatures in opposition to this build. Committee, please decline this application as it stands. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Any questions of the speaker? Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
We have the next speaker, please.
Good afternoon.
Would you give me your name and your address first?
I am Stacy LaFontaine at 34 Fintona Avenue. I reside around the corner from the property in question. I'd like to resubmit my objection.
Wait, sorry. I'm trying to find your name on my list. here.
Stacy LaFontaine.
Stacy LaFontaine,
LaFontaine, Lafontaine.
34 Fintona.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
I reside around the corner from the property in question. I'd like to resubmit my objections to the proposed development as outlined in the revised minor variance application under review. I've filed a second letter of objection for your review located on the AIC. However, this afternoon, I'd like to speak to you about intensification. The proposed development of this minor variance plans to increase the current living space of a large historical single-family farmhouse with 6 bedrooms, 1 kitchen, and 3 bathrooms to 20 bedrooms, 8 kitchens, 19 bathrooms, and 8 utility rooms, laundry rooms. Yet maintains that this is not a full planning application or it's not required. The proposed development does not fall within the purview of a minor variance application, in my opinion, or in our opinions. It is a contempt of all 4 legal tests, and as such, the application should be rejected. Number 1, it's incongruent with the Planning Act. The application is requesting to change the nature and size of the proposed detached dwelling from a low-density to a mid-density detached dwelling, but again fails to provide the approved zoning changes for what is really a high-density dwelling, or high-density dwellings. The proposed dwellings are highly intensified with a total of 20 bedrooms, 19 bathrooms, 8 kitchens, and 8 laundry utility rooms. That could be interpreted as such. This is not a minor variance to the existing zoning as per the Planning Act. Second, accuracy. All revisions by the applicant were proposed in Part 3. None of them were done to Part 1 and 2. Both 1 and 2 remain essentially unchanged with no revisions as per the many objections and concerns. Missing land use reports. The application provides plans for additional parking. Missing are the comprehensive transportation reports, volume, flow, access, egress, impact, and mitigation reports for both the major thoroughfare Morningside Avenue and the secondary local residential artery, which is Grey Abbey Trail. A note, Grey Abbey Trail is the main access and egress in this encapsulated neighborhood. Hardscape, which is the right-of-way to the north, natural waterways, Lake Ontario, and a ravine lock this neighborhood on 3 sides. Grey Abbey Trail is the main access and egress to this neighborhood. The application refers to the law infrastructure for sanitary and storm drainage being built in the middle of last century. However, the application has failed to provide a comprehensive report that identifies the mitigation procedures that will be employed to said infrastructure to accommodate 3 two-story multifamily high-density dwellings, and fails to provide a comprehensive municipal report determining and confirming conclusively that the proposed changes in land use and density will not negatively impact the aged and at-capacity sanitary and storm sewer system. The development proposed is incongruent with the nature and character of the land use of the neighborhood. The rise of multi-generational habitation in single-family dwellings found in our many neighborhoods can assure us that more than one vehicle will be registered per proposed dwelling in this application. The lot frontage does not allow for enough parking. One shared driveway per duplex will not adequately supply enough parking per unit. Overflow parking will be on the street. Overflow parking will impede traffic flow on major thoroughfares, Morningside and Grey Abbey. And again, Grey Abbey is the main access and egress. Overflow parking will impede proper vision of turning traffic from Fintona to Grey Abbey Trail. Overflow parking will endanger pedestrian traffic on Fintona, Fordover, and Grey Abbey Trail. The neighborhood single-family dwellings have currently multi-car driveways and are still experiencing overflow parking onto the street due to increased tenancy and multi-generational habitation. So we can foresee that this is going to be a problem with the proposed development. I'm going to skip to, because I only have 24 seconds, that at the COA meeting of December 2023, Mr. Benkowski, the application's representative and author, advised and requested a deferral of the COA to discuss the project with the neighbors. As of today, the agent participated in one Zoom meeting at the end of March to which he refused to address any concern other than the severance of the lots. 2, the applicant is not acting in good faith, in my opinion, or our opinion, or transparency with regards to this application. The agent confirmed that the housing will be rental, but will not admit that rooming housing is being sought. The duplexes proposed are not, in fact, separate living units. The plans show that the below-grade basement dwellings do have access to the main floors, which means they are not independent.
Okay, can I ask you to?
I will continue, just 2 more points very quickly. Why would 6-family renting 6-unit, as the applicant is trying to make us believe, would need 20 bedrooms, 19 bathrooms, and 8 kitchen, and 8 laundry rooms? Lastly, the applicant smugly replied that he is not required to provide a landscape plan, although aware that he's removing 8 matured endangered trees, and has a higher grade lot, and is using nearly 70% of the green space as hardscape, but maintains that a landscape plan is not required. The applicant has failed to, in accordance to the Planning Act, including and seek community input with regards to the application, has misled the community of adjustments in granting a deferral under the guise of such consultation, and lastly, has failed to consider the previous objection recorded on the AIC. For the above reasons, and those found in my previous 2 letters of objection, I renew my unequivocal objections to this application and respectfully request the committee to not approve the application as it stands.
Thank you very much for
You're
your,
very welcome. Thank you for your time.
any questions? No. Next speaker, please.
So my name is Janet Alexander, and I'm from 53 Morningside. And as you might gather, I'm very concerned about what's going up to the south of me. There were a lot of issues around encroachment. There's a lot of issues around height, blocking all light to my dwelling. There was issues, though, that the decks were removed, so there wouldn't be privacy issues with my garden. But all of
Excuse me for a second.
I
What
was
is
in
your
a-
address?
53 Morningside.
Okay, 53 Morningside.
Yeah, yeah. But I'm not going to talk about the numbers and the math right at the moment because it's been well addressed by my colleagues and it's also in our letters. And you people understand these things faster than I could probably say them. But I just want to remind you that the home that is going to be torn down has got a heritage application that was put in on the 6th of December 23. I know that doesn't prevent applications from going in, but I just want to make you know we consider it part of our community. And it is a multi-unit housing. It's not family housing. It doesn't support the growth of community. Also, there's issues of amount of people that would be accessing the infrastructure. So I'll just go further that. So the decision made about the future of 51 Morningside will affect the future of Guildwood Village itself. The structures get replaced with large homes that are out of character with neighborhood homes. The entire neighborhood loses part of its character. And I understand, as an amateur, the official plan prohibits this, though I also understand that you can't mandate good taste. So So the official plan is clear on this matter, and with the chapters 3 and 4, and again, it's not my specialty, does lay out the points that we can consider more than mathematics in what's going on, though that is a primary part of building. It's got mathematics and measurement. But can I ask you to start considering how we can incorporate the community and the community's desire to have the 4 points that Mr. Taylor favors, and I agree with him. So these are major variances, and I would like you to consider it as a major variance, and we proceed in a different way. We're not against housing going in there. We're absolutely not. So the proposed developments do not satisfy the City of Toronto's official plan requirements for development, including multiplexes, to maintain the build form respect and reinforce the physical patterns and the character of the neighborhood. So that's about all, really. I could go into minutia with it and get into a little bit of a debate, but it's not my expertise. And so I just ask you to broaden beyond the measurements and consider it as living space. I disagree with taking 22 meters and make it 11 on 2 properties as a frontage. That will set a precedent for the neighborhood, and please consider the neighborhood as a whole. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions? No. Okay, next speaker.
Hello, community members. My name is Mark Singleton. I grew up at 14 Grabby Trail. My mother still resides there. I'm a part owner of the property. We are one property away from the development, so we certainly have a vested interest in it. I'm well aware that committee members have a much better understanding of the bylaws as they are written. And I know you have obviously reviewed everything. However, I'm hoping that you will agree that the amount of variances, the size and the scale of the variances are completely outrageous as it relates to the scale of the neighborhood. Where this becomes an issue, as you know, and has been discussed, is precedence. You know, allowing any of these variances to pass would set a dangerous precedent for the rest of the neighborhood. It would allow developers to come in and use those variances to their own needs. What we have here is we have a developer with absolutely no vested interest in this neighborhood whatsoever, except to maximize his profit, versus a community who potentially are going to lose, money on their properties based on this development. This is going to have like a negative financial impact on this neighborhood. And also it's going to have like really long lasting impact too, because, every other developer is just going to come in and try to apply for the same things. This has to be something that is within the scale and the size of the community as it stands. This has already been established. This is a neighborhood that hasn't had a lot of development, hasn't had a need for development because the homes are very well built. Again, we have a unique property there. We understand that, and we understand that development is going to happen. But we just hope that you consider the fact that, this request is completely unreasonable. We're hoping that you will take our considerations into need. And thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Any questions of the speaker? Yes, just a minute, sir. Sir, got a question.
Sure.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, sir, for your presentation and the other people before you. You are aware on Morningside there have been other developments at different sites in this area?
Yeah.
Okay. These homes have not since remained static since the late 1800s to the soldiers returning from the war. So I'm just looking at the different area, and you're saying earlier that this is a very unique neighborhood with a character that's remained. There has been change on that street, unless I'm missing something.
No. Okay, there has been change on Morningside. There has not been change on Grabby Trail. Okay, and so Grabby Trail was not built as a post-war home community. I believe the development of the apple orchard, former apple orchard, was built in about 1958, or the occupation of the home started in about 58. And so my mother's been there since 1964. So, yeah. So you're kind of looking at two different animals. Like Morningside, being a major thoroughfare is considerably different than Grey Abbey, which is, a proper residential street. So, keeping that in mind, you've kind of got two different conditions that we're talking about, but there hasn't been any real development save for maybe home renovations within the Grey Abbey community, within that circle of properties.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Thanks very much.
Any other questions? No? Next speaker?
My name is Bonnie Thompson from 11 Grey Abbey Trail.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members. I would just like to say that we live directly across from 51 Morningside. And through the time that the developers have been there, we have looked at nothing but mess, and we've had to complain, get grass cut, it's been awful with noise, everything. Now they're suggesting that we're going to have more people in these houses, which is, I know we need affordable housing, but this is not the way to do it. We're worried about fire. We have beautiful trees that are going to be taken away, which leads to erosion. The car situation is going to be terrible across from us on Grey Abbey Trail. We have children going to school. We have numerous neighbors with dogs that are walking out. It's going to be very dangerous. And as I say, I'm not aware of the planning and the variances. All I'm concerned about is keeping our neighborhood the way it is. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions? No. Okay. Do I have anyone else who wishes to speak?
Through the chair, we have Bradley online.
Okay. Just before we go to the online, is John McDonald here? Okay. Or Frank Leatherdale? Do you wish to speak, sir? Or are you satisfied up there?
I think they've covered everything.
Okay, thank you very much. So we have online Bradley Mitchell. Okay. Okay. Should go to our online speaker.
Hi there, this is Bradley Mitchell from 16 Cashenden Road.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mitchell. 16 Kashandra, where is that in respect to this property?
Just around the corner, so last speaker that just spoke, we're just behind.
Oh, okay, I see it. You're behind the Grey Abbey Trail in the next block over, correct? Okay,
correct.
Go ahead.
So I won't use up much of my time because I just want to come on record to object the proposal here. Agreeing very much with the last 5 speakers and the concerns that they have all voiced. In particular, the parking situation, the quantity of families that will live in these residences, the safety concerns, as well as the forestry. I could be wrong, but I did see a forestry registration online, but I haven't seen approval to take down the 9 mature trees that are on the residence. Aside from that, I'll forfeit the rest of my time. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone else? Okay, that concludes the section of the community comments. Okay, Mr. Brinskowski,
Yes, Madam Chair.
you have 5 minutes.
Okay, I'm gonna do this in a couple of parts. I first want to speak to the idea of what the Planning Act in terms of low density and a report being submitted in terms of transportation as well as servicing. As you're aware on the ECS, there is not one objection from any City of Toronto agency. Planning has no concerns. They're merely asking for a condition to tie it to the plans. ECS has no concerns. Forestry has imposed standard conditions. In terms of the mature trees that are proposed to be removed, those are in an as-built, the as-of-right portion. Again, we are not seeking a side yard setback variance where those trees are. That is in an as-of-right portion of the dwelling that is proposed to be removed. Speaking again to a couple of policies of the OP, there was some speak of the built form policies of 3.1.2 of kind of taking what's in the area itself and trying to fit in with it. That's simply not correct. That's actually very incorrect. The OP guides the zoning bylaw. The zoning bylaw permits the height that we are proposing. The zoning bylaw permits the mass we are proposing. Therefore, we are implementing the built form policies of 3.1.2 that speak to that type of massing and built form. I'd also like to speak to the major street policies of 4.1.5 of the OP. Morningside at this portion is a major street in the official plan as well as the zoning bylaw. There are provisions of 4.1.5 that speak to additional intensification on major streets that would differ from the interior of neighborhoods. So in terms of the OP policies of how we're addressing and evaluating the proposal along Morningside, we specifically have a policy that speaks to additional intensification along major streets, which Morningside is. Again, you can't use the OP to try to justify why a minor variance or why something shouldn't be permitted if it is proposed as per the zoning bylaw. The massing of the dwellings, save for the 0.3 meter interior side yard setbacks, all comply with the zoning bylaw. I also wanted to just address, if we could just bring up the chart I made very briefly, because there was a comment about there being no changes to parts 1 and parts 2. I believe that was it. Parts 1 and parts 2 are the one that front Morningside. Within my chart there, you can see we have removed the building length variance as well as brought the dwellings into compliance in terms of height, okay, as well as a reduction of the FSI as well as the coverage. In terms of parking, new zoning bylaw provisions actually don't require any parking on new development. The only way you would need to provide parking is if you're adding additional units, okay? You would not be able to remove the existing parking that's there. If we provided zero parking here, we wouldn't even have a variance for zero parking. It's simply not required in the zoning bylaw. In terms of encroachment and in terms of light, if we could bring up the survey, please. The neighbor at 53 spoke to some encroachments. We're zoning bylaw compliant at 1.2 meters. We're 17 meters in length, as well as main wall height and overall height compliant with, as I mentioned in my initial presentation, the only second floor window is proposed towards the middle of the house in the den. There was also some speak of water runoff and landscaping. We have no variance for front yard, a reduction of front yard landscaping or rear yard landscaping. If we could bring up the lot study I presented also very quickly, just to speak to, there was some idea of precedent of developers or people coming in and wanting to kind of replicate what's happened here. This is, for lack of a better term, a unicorn, where we have a through and through lot with a lot that is 8.2 meters wider than the next widest lot on this block. If the person to the north wanted to sever their 13.6 meter lot, that variance would be astronomical in terms of where it exists and how it would fit in with the character of the neighborhood. One thing, if we could bring up the plans for part 3, I also wanted to speak to the design of part 3 because there was some talk of family housing. If we look at the design of part 3, if we just even bring up the front facade, this is essentially proposed as 2 equally sized dwelling units. We have only put one front door to maintain the look of one dwelling rather than having 2 front doors. The access to the north unit is actually from the north side, so it actually doesn't face the streetscape of Grey Abbey. This is the true definition of family rental style housing with 4 bedrooms in each. Again, I think that's all I have. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Are there any questions of Okay. A couple of things that I failed to do. We have a number of conditions. Conditions of development engineering on the consent application, conditions of forestry, conditions of transportation services that say they are okay. We have a Metrolinx condition asking for an easement. I'm going to ask, have you seen all these conditions and are you in agreement?
I have seen all the condition, and I will reiterate what I reiterate every time. I don't like the Metrolinx condition, but again, that's in the hands of the committee to do as they please with Metrolinx.
This one actually, I read it, it says it's an easement, so,
Madam Chair, I was in Etobicoke last week. They had everywhere from 300 meters to 100 meter conditions now from Metrolinx coming in, where I just don't understand it. But again, it is what it is.
I think in Scarborough, we're still dealing with what Metrolinx is asking for, and we're proceeding with that. If you have concerns with that, you know how to contact Metrolinx.
I do, Madam Chair.
There's a last condition, and I think this is a condition of interest primarily to the community, and that is the condition of community planning that recommends, should the committee approve the requested variances, the following condition be imposed on. The owner shall build substantially in accordance with the proposed site plan drawings as shown on the plans dated March 26, 2024. So what this does really is ties this proposal, if approved, to those plans you have seen. The alternate is we approve the variances, we approve the severances, and the applicant comes in with completely different plans. I'm not sure if it's got us between a rock and a hard place, but community planning often has suggested that at least we know what we are looking at when we're doing the approvals, and that's why we have this condition. Are you in agreement with this condition?
Absolutely, Madam Chair.
Okay. All right. Having gone to that, do I have any questions from the committees to the applicant? Okay. I guess we're, yes.
Could you tell us again, in your massing comparison drawing, you mentioned the size of what could be built on that property if it weren't severed, something like 19 meters long?
Yes, through you, Madam Chair. I believe it is on page 9 of my presentation material. A zoning bylaw compliant side yard setback dwelling could be 19.82 meters wide or 71 feet 8. I was trying to get there to speak to that massing at the 19.82 meters would actually be 4.82 meters wider than the next largest lot along Morningside itself. And it's if you go up one, it has the graphics, yes, the graphics in green to show that. Again, the aim here was to show the compatibility of actually what is being proposed to what could be there, zoning bylaw compliant without being here, and how that would fit into the neighborhood.
Thank you. Yeah, I have no further questions, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Okay. Are we ready to take this into committee then? Do I have any comments? Okay.
Thank you, Chair. So this is a classic push-pull of two different divergent views on a piece of land that is in our city, a city that has been changing and growing since essentially the War of 1812. So now today we're here listening. This is, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, the third time this has come up.
We didn't hear the other two
Yeah.
times.
So with impassioned pleas from the neighborhood, we hear you. We understand the neighborhood has a certain character. We've also heard from you, sir, and it's very clear that it meets all the parameters of the law and the four-test rule. There's no going around that. That's the law. And what we're also struck with is that there's clearly a design here from the city departments that haven't refused any of these parts of this application. So I am finding no way except to say that I would approve this application.
Okay, any other comments?
I would agree. I see this as almost a perfect example of sensitive intensification because the result is 3 lots that are very close to the lot pattern of the block. The housing size, you look at the FSI, the variance for them is very minor. So I think we end up with something that fits nicely into the neighborhood. And I wanted to ask the question about the massing. Should this property not be divided, what would be the result? I dare say that the people that live in this neighborhood will be a lot happier with 3 houses on 3 lots as proposed compared to the drawing that you just saw. I mean, it's a visualization challenge perhaps, but I tell you, this is a big lot and it could accommodate a very big house that you'll all look at and say, gee, I wish that wasn't there. So that my view is very strongly, I'm supportive of this. I think it's, as I say, I think it's a perfect example of sensitive intensification.
Okay, thank you. Yes, Mr. Reed.
Thanks, Chair. I agree with both of my colleagues, and this application brings up a point that Mr. Taylor brought up on a different file today, that yes, this application as it appears and as it's going to fit in on the street will be a very big departure of what's built there, but it's not that big of a departure from what is permitted to be built on those streets, right? And I think that's the difference about getting a neighbor's, being used to a built form, but it's not just what's there, but it's what's allowed to be there as of right. And we see severance requests and associated minor variances often that are way more aggressive than this. I actually commend the applicant for being very restrained, I think, in what they're going after. And I think this is going towards what the city is looking for in terms of expanding housing types within more traditional and stable neighborhoods. I think it's a very good application.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to add some comments as well, particularly to the community, because I think the community has been very much involved in this and have given a lot of considerations. I was particularly impressed with the letter from the Community Association, which acknowledged that there would be changes, that acknowledged that duplexes are now permitted. So it is a change. In terms of the 2 lots on Morningside, I really had no problem with them. When I looked at it, I thought, what else are you going to do with a property that's that large? You're not going to want to build, as Mr. Taylor has said, a great big house. 2 smaller houses, similar to what is up and down the street, is probably what you're going to get. Even if you get 2 houses similar to what the new builds on the other side of Morningside, it's not the end of the world. The one I have a more difficulty with is the development on Gray Abbey. And I've been up and down Gray Abbey. You're correct. There are applications to the south of Gray Abbey Trail that we've had overlooking the lake, but there's nothing in this area. This area is fairly pristine, and I've particularly looked at the lots at the top end of Gray Abbey where you've got some semis, because that's what you're looking for, or what could be built here. Looking at this application, bearing in mind all the rigors that the various departments are going to put this applicant through, I too have to say, yes, this is moving forward. This is essentially something that I can support. So, given all of that, Mr. Hahn, you haven't said anything. Do you want to speak?
Thank you, madam. The thing is, listening to comments from my colleagues and you, I respect them, whatever you are thinking. I can go along with that. It's very persuading to my thinking. But nonetheless, one thing I don't like is the frontage area variances not being complied as the zoning bylaw says. But zoning bylaws are meant for enforcement. But in this case, as you have and my colleagues have presented, I think I will go along with your views.
Okay. All right. Do I have a motion? Okay, Mr. Reed.
Thanks, Chair. For the reasons that I said and my colleagues have mentioned, I'll move approval of all these applications together. The consent to sever into 3 lots and the associated minor variances. For consent, subject to urban forestry, engineering construction, and Metrolinks, and for the minor variance, subject to community planning conditions.
Okay. I think that's covered all the items. Do I have a seconder? Mr. Taylor?
Be happy to second that motion, Madam Chair.
Okay. What's the wish of the committee? All those in favor? Thank you. This application has been approved. Thank you very much to the community for coming out and speaking to this application. Okay. We are moving on to another part of Scarborough, 1415 Military Trail. Let me find that on my agenda here. Staff, can I have one of you come over and help me? I just deleted the other half of the agenda. Maybe Shirley, I guess I'm going to have to start over again here. Normally I have agenda package number 4 up there. No. 17. There is a lot of material.
It's a big package this time. Okay, 17.
Perfect. Good, thank you very much. As you may be aware, our agendas are getting bigger, and the computers can only take so much. This particular agenda had to be sent to us as 6 packages because each package can only take so much. And heaven forbid, if you lose a package, you need the help for staff. Thank you very much. Okay, so I have got my item number 17 here.
Yes.
This is an application. Okay. We're dealing with consent application 17A, B, and C. It's 1 consent application and 2 variance applications for 1415 Military Trail. The purpose of the application is to divide the property into 2 along Military Trail and to create a 3rd parcel, which I understand will be created and conveyed to, I think, a city of Toronto because it's part of the Highland Creek Valley. There are the variances that are also impacted on this, predominantly lot area and lot frontage, and there's a number of conditions. So Mr. Bukowski,
Good afternoon, committee. Jonathan Minskowski.
am I not pronouncing that correctly?
Madam Chair, we could be different every time and it wouldn't matter. It's my whole life. It's been like this.
Okay. All right, sir. Do you wish to make a presentation?
The only thing I would say, Madam Chair, is that land to the rear is actually going to the TRCA. So yeah, it impacts the lot area as well as the FSI variance. That FSI variance is dramatically pushed up because that land being dedicated isn't taken into the lot area of the calculation in terms of, it would also be coverage as well as lot area. This is a typical situation of what's taking place along that stretch of Military Trail. New dwellings being built much closer to Military Trail, whereas the original ones were built further back. We're okay with the conditions of conservation. We're really okay with all the conditions, Madam Chair.
Okay. That was nice and short.
I thought you maybe had heard enough from me for a bit, so we'll try to be quick.
Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to speak to this item? This is item number 17, 14, 15 Military Trail. Nope? Okay. And I don't have anyone, no, I have no one listed online. All right. Committee, where are you? Yep.
Thank you, Chair. I find the application in good order. I find it meets the 4-test rule, and I'd be more than willing to put a motion forward to have it approved.
Any other comments? Mr. Reed?
I don't have any other comments apart from the conditions that are associated. One comment just about the application in general. It's very rare that we see a severance application and associated minor variances that have no comments and no one in objection. So I guess either good luck to the applicant or congratulations, whichever way that goes.
This section of Military Trail has had, maybe 6 or 8 new lots created in the last 3-4 years. It's following along. So, yes, no objections now. Okay. Sir, you're in agreement with all the conditions?
Absolutely, Madam Chair.
All right, do I have a motion?
Thank you, Chair. I move that we approve the application, of course, with the conditions of urban forestry services and the engineering construction services and Metrolinks. And I believe also community plan.
Through the chair, there are no Metrolinx conditions for item 17.
My apologies, I stand corrected. Thank you, Manager, Deputy Treasurer. That would
I
also
think there is
include.
one other.
There is. I'm just going to get to
The
that.
archaeological assessment.
That's right. So there'll be that one. And we've already said the TRCA. Yeah. I've got them all covered. Thank you.
Through the chair, just for point of clarity, for the minor variance application, are you imposing the community planning conditions on the minor variance applications as well?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
Have I considered what? Archaeological. Yes, it was added. Yeah. Okay, so you have a motion for approval, listing conditions of a number of agencies. Do I have a seconder?
I'll second that, Chair.
Reed will second that. All those in favor? Your application.
Thanks,
is
committee.
approved. Okay, moving along to item 18, which is 8 Harwood Avenue. Are you the applicant, sir?
Yes, good afternoon, members. My name is Mushtaq Sarah.
Just a second. And do you also wish to speak? Okay. Okay. All right. So. Item 18-8 Harwood Avenue. I have Mr. Sarweer as the agent. Okay. And I have 1, 2, 3, 4 people who wish to speak on virtual. Okay, Mr. Sarweer, this is a consent application to create 2 lots with a frontages of 8.84 meters and a lot area of 358 meters square. I'm just looking for my notice here for a second. Okay, we have a lot area of frontage of 8.84 meters for each and a lot area of 358.4 meters squared for each. And we also have a variance applications for this. Okay, the variance applications are essentially for a maximum floor space index 0.65 times the lot area, whereas the permitted is 0.57 times. Platforms and a balcony. Required lot area is 371 meters and the proposal is 358. The required minimum lot frontage is 10.5. The proposed lot frontage is 8.84. And we have requests for maximum permitted height of main walls of 8.04 and a permitted height of a parapet on top. So there are 6 variances for each of these lots being created. Okay. Mr. Sarer, you have 5 minutes to proceed.
Good afternoon, member of the Scarborough Committee of
Sir,
Adjustment.
could you kindly spell your name, please?
Mushtaq Sarwar, Mustak Sarwer, S as in Sam.
Thank you.
Go ahead, sir.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
My name is Mushtaq Sarwar, and my address is 116 Castle Grove Boulevard, Toronto. Madam Chair, I'm the applicant and architect for 8 Herod Avenue, Toronto. On behalf of the owner, Nausher Sarwar and Mohammad Yasir Sarwar and Aftat, I'm to submit the application for minor variance and consent of land severance. Our subject property, 8 Herod Avenue, boasts a wide frontage of 17.68 meter and impressive 168% over the minimum requirement. This unique circumstances present an exciting opportunity to optimize the land use. A prospect the owner are eager to explore. Just to mention, there's 2 siblings co-own this property. They want to sever this property and stay in their own houses. To go back to the minimum frontage requirement is 10.5 meter. We propose dividing the property into 2 lots, each boasting frontage of 8.84 meters. The minimum lot area requirement is 371 square meter, and the proposal is 358.4 square meter. The issue is minor. There are examples on the same street, 55 and 53 Herod Avenue. The committee allowed them to sever them in 2 lots. Each of them is 9.14 meter, which is almost 1 feet wider than our proposal. Our proposal complies with all the setbacks and lot coverages. Lot coverage is, we're proposing 32.93%, and which allowed is 33%. It is a strategic subdivided will unlock the potential of creating a new detached house, utilizing the currently unused space on the property. We are confident in its benefits. It is crucial to note that the proposal complies with the zoning bylaws, building setbacks, lot coverage requirement. We have considered all complaints from the community, including the mature tree in the front of the property. We are not seeking to remove or damage any of the existing mature trees on the property. Regarding the FSI, the zoning is zone 0.6, but due to the lot size, is reduced to 204 meters square or 0.57. And we are proposing a built unit of 233.3 square meter, which is 0.65% of the FSI. Just to mention that regardless the FSI and lot coverage wise, our build form is under 33%. So for the density wise, we are within the limit of the zoning bylaw. Regarding the main wall height, the zoning bylaw allowed 7.2 meter, and we are proposing one is 8.02 and 8.17 meter, which is very minor in nature. In regards to the parapet, I believe the way it is written is a little bit not clear. It should be read about the building height. Overall building height is allowed 7.5 meter. For the flat roof, 7.2 plus 0.3 for parapet. And we are proposing 8.25 meter and 8.35 meter, which is minor in nature. Regarding the second floor balcony, we are allowed to have one balconies in the front, but we are proposing a second balcony just to obtain a view of Lake Ontario, which is, it is possible oftentimes from the front at corner, you can see there's the view of the Lake Ontario, which is not impeding any of the privacy of any of the neighbors. It is looking towards the main road on Harewood.
Can I ask you to wrap up, please?
Yes. The city aims to add 285,000 new homes by 2031. We believe this proposal will help achieve the goal. And I believe we have answered all four tests and believe this proposal maintains the general intent and purpose of the official plan and general intent of the zoning bylaw. We're requesting a strong affirmative yes for our request. Thank you, committee. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Any questions? Yes.
Thank you, Chair. Sir, thank you for your presentation. There's some concern from the neighborhood about the trees, and urban forestry has spoken to that with specific conditions to preserve some of the greater majestic trees on that site. Is that an undertaking that the owner is willing to follow through with?
Yes. For our proposal, we are not planning to remove or damage the existing tree, I believe, and we are agreeing with the condition.
Thank you.
Mr. Hahn?
Thank you, Madam. Through you, my question is, so your frontage is 8.84 meters, relatively small than asking 10.5. Now, this narrow or small frontage is causing jarring views, and also it is changing the neighborhood character. How do you explain?
Through Madam Chair, you're correct because the minimum requirement is 10.5 meter for frontage. And if you look at the size of the property is 17.8 currently, and 17.68 to be accurate, and which is larger than minimum requirement. And about 85% of the neighborhood is pretty close to 12 meters square. But we have an example, is a limited neighbor is 55 Harewood. They had the similar frontages, about 18 meter, and the Committee of Adjustment approved the request to sever the land from frontage with 9.17 meter. So from the 9.17 and from 8.84, the difference is very minute in nature, just 1 feet. And the other 53 and 55 Harewood, I believe there is no adverse effect on the view and the landscape, urbanscape of the road. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. I'm just looking at your site location, and you provided us with some information that you are asking for 8.84, and you've done a street study, which is helpful for our deliberation. I'm just going to read it since you didn't. Total of 82 properties on Harwood Avenue south of Kingston Road. 79 properties meet or surpass the minimum frontage requirement. 3 don't. This would be the fourth of 82 properties that don't meet the zoning bylaw requirement. Why would you suggest that this should be approved?
The reason, thank you, Madam Chair. Remaining all those property, the subject property is, the frontage is 17.68. None in this road, they have that frontages. Almost 85% of them are 12 meter or closer. So if you look into the zoning bylaw, I can build a humongous house in one lot, or I can sever them in two, pretty close to the requirement, which is 10.5. And in the street, we have a presence in 9.17 meter. It is, I believe, it is a good use of the land. We can sever them both in 2 lots, and then we can add in 1 additional new detached house into the community. It will benefit the community, and it will benefit City of Toronto to achieving the target to add a housing block. From our owner's point of view, we're trying to help city to mitigate their housing crisis.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions of the applicant? Okay, we have a number of people, no one in the audience. We have a number of people online. Is Bonnie Chan? Okay,
Good afternoon.
go ahead, Ms. Chan.
My name is Bonnie Chan. I live on 9 Harewood Avenue.
Thank you.
I am the owner of 9 Harewood Avenue together with my spouse. My family has lived here for 10 years. We are directly across from the subject property, number 8. From the outset, I do support development that is responsible and that's in keeping with the characteristic of my neighborhood, which is why I am compelled to oppose the consent application and the request for a variance. As you've heard, members of the panel, the proposed severance will result in 2 lots having frontages of 8.84 meters each, both, of course, below the bylaw minimum of 10.5. But what's really concerning is that it is a marked departure from my neighborhood's characteristic, where lots exceed the minimum. And to put this into context, we are located footsteps from the Scarborough Bluffs, footsteps from dropping off to Lake Ontario. Closer to the bluffs, closer to the lake, the lots are wider, houses are wider, but they fit nicely into the scenery and the landscape. And I suggest to this committee that it is abundantly clear that the applicant's proposal does not conform with the city's official plan. I am asking that this committee deny the consent application or alternatively deny the requested variance. As you are aware, the relevant parts of the official plan are 4.1 neighborhoods, where the objective is to ensure that new development respects and reinforces the general physical patterns in a neighborhood. And this objective is implemented at Section 5, which requires development to respect and reinforce, among other things, the prevailing size and configuration of lots. As I'm sure you're aware, prevailing is defined as the most frequently occurring, and the relevant geographic areas of a neighborhood are defined as the immediate context and also the broader context. Now, if there is a significant difference between the two, the official plan tells us that the immediate context is to be given greater weight between the two. When we apply this criteria of the official plan to the instant matter before us, I suggest it is abundantly clear that the proposal does not conform with the official plan. You will hear today from the director of our residents association about the reduced lot frontages, that the reduction would stand out as an anomaly in our neighborhood. I do want to add from my lived experience here, the immediate context of the neighborhood includes the most southern portion of Harewood. Houses number 1 to 46. 1 is at the bottom, closest to Lake Ontario. 46 is just south of Slowly Road and well south of Kingston Road. The lot frontages in this portion were wider than the portion of the neighborhood towards closer to Kingston Road. 53 Harewood, 55 Harewood, which the applicant referred to, they are both outside the stretch of Harewood. That's north of us, north of Kingston Road, north of Slowly Road, closer to Kingston Road. 53 and 55 are not an appropriate comparator. They are not within the immediate context of my neighborhood. The prevailing frontage of lots within the stretch of Harewood, we are all at 12.19 meters or more. 0 lots in this immediate context fall below 12.19, let alone the bylaw minimum of 10.5. This information will be set out in the submissions from the director of our residents association. I would also point out there are no lots within this portion of Harewood. This portion of Harewood, south of Kingston Road, that is less than 9 meters in frontage. And so under any reasonable interpretation and application of the official plan, the applicant's proposed reduction in lot frontages to 8.84 meters each is not in conformity with the official plan, not in keeping with the purpose and intent of the relevant parts of the official plan. I do request that this consent application be denied. Moreover, I ask that the committee disallow the requested variance for the reasons I've provided, which also goes to how the requested variance is in fact significant, it's substantial, more so when viewed in the context of this neighborhood and in particular the immediate context. Thank you for your attention.
Okay, thank you very much. Any questions of the speaker? Yes, go ahead.
Thank you, ma'am. Through you, I would like to know the trees, how big they are. Are the property or grown by the owner, or is it city property?
Madam, are there, address the trees?
With respect to the tree that is located on the subject property, I would estimate the tree is, it's in my written submission. I believe I had put it at approximately 20 meters. The width of the trunk is I would say roughly 80 centimeters to 100 centimeters. So it is a large old growth tree. It looks like a cathedral towering over us in all its glory, especially in the summertime. And I do want to stress that in this lower portion of Harewood, there are more trees, taller trees, older trees. In the top part of Harewood, that's just south of Kingston Road, but north of Slowly, there are less trees. And I do note that 53 and 55 Harewood, which the applicant referred to, there are no trees in front of those lots. So it is different in kind. The pattern is different. There is a different character in this portion of Harewood where number 8 and myself, number 9, are located.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, any other questions? No? All right. Thank you very much. Our next speaker is Mr. and Miss Hanji. Okay. I don't know whether it's Mr. or Miss from the name here. So, Madam or Sir, would you identify yourself and your address at 10 Harwood Avenue?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Perfect, thank you. My name is Zara Kanji, and I live at 10 Harewood Avenue.
Okay.
My husband and I have lived at 10 Harewood Avenue for 3 years. Our property is directly adjacent to 8 Harewood Avenue, the subject property, on the northern side. I'm actually directly across from Bonnie Chan, who just spoke. You will hear from a few neighbors on Harewood Avenue today. I, like them, am opposed to the proposed development at 8 Harewood Avenue and do not support the application to sever and replace the existing dwelling with 2 new dwellings. In the Ontario application for land severances, applications are evaluated based on conformity with the official plan and compatibility with neighboring uses of land, suitability of land for the proposed purpose. The third is the adequacy of vehicular access, water supply, and sewage disposal. And fourthly, the need to ensure protection for potential flooding. The issues that I would like to focus on today are adequacy of water supply, sewage disposal, and protection for potential flooding. My first point is around the adequacy of water supply and sewage disposal. As mentioned, Harewood Avenue culminates at Broadmead Avenue, which overlooks the Scarborough Bluffs. The proposed site is within footsteps of the Scarborough Bluffs cliff face. The Scarborough Bluffs have been eroding consistently over time. And according to the Toronto and Region Conservation Authority, key factors in erosion of the bluffs include the wave action from Lake Ontario, but also water runoff and groundwater seepage. I would like to focus on water runoff and groundwater seepage now. Water runoff is water coming off the land and can be a result of precipitation on stormy days like today, but it is also exacerbated in areas where impervious surfaces prevent water from infiltrating into the soil. Severing 8 Harewood into 2 lots will create 2 structures and 2 driveways, which will increase impervious sources and prevent water from infiltrating into the soil. Furthermore, creating 2 dwellings on the lot will require that each dwelling be outfitted with their own sump pump. Both the increase in impervious surfaces and sump pump requirements will increase water runoff coming from 8 Harewood, a lot that is very close to the proximity of the Scarborough Bluffs cliff face. Second, creating 2 dwellings on an existing lot will increase the amount of pressure on existing sewer and water supply infrastructure. The infrastructure in this part of Cliffcrest is older, and the proposed severance will create additional stress on the water supply and sewage disposal system. The approval of the severance could accelerate groundwater pressure at a point very close to the bluff's face. This acceleration of groundwater pressure within a sewage disposal infrastructure that is older and has existing capacity issues, which I'll talk about shortly, can result in an increased flooding risk to lots around 8 Harewood Avenue, but also will increase groundwater seepage pressure on the Scarborough Bluffs. My second point is around the protection for potential flooding. Now, Harewood Avenue is located in Basement Flooding Study Area 52 and is part of the South Scarborough area. As noted on the City of Toronto website, Basement Flooding Study Area 52 has experienced basement and recurring surface flooding during past extreme storm events. Over the last 10 years, there have been many reports of sewer backup into homes in Cliffcrest and on Harewood Avenue, indicating there are both existing sewer capacity issues and flooding risks in this area. Area 52 still has not had an environmental assessment on basement flooding risk, even though it was supposed to have been completed in 2023. My final point is around precedent. There are several older home lots for sale at any given point in Cliffcrest and in the Scarborough Bluffs neighborhood. Granting approval on the severance of 8 Harewood would set an unfavorable precedent to grant more land severances in the area. The acceleration of severances would create an untenable amount of pressure on the existing water supply and sewage disposal system and significantly increase risk for further erosion to the Scarborough Bluffs from increased water runoff and groundwater pressure. In summary, this application for severance does not satisfy at least 2 points in the Ontario application for land severances: adequacy of water supply and sewage disposal, and 2, the need to ensure protection for potential flooding. The immediate neighbors, along with the Residents Association, request that you refuse this application. Thank you, Madam Chair and fellow chairs, for your opportunity to address the committee this afternoon.
Okay, thank you. Any questions?
Thank you, Chair. Thank you for your presentation. Quick question, just to confirm, you're at number 10 on Harewood?
Yes.
And is that an
Yes.
original or a new home?
It is a new home.
Okay.
It was constructed in 2020.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions? No?
Through the chair, for the viewers on YouTube, the video is not showing. So for when members are speaking, maybe announce your name before you speak, and also with votes, we will need to take votes through individually. I'll let you know when our video is restored.
And is the reason the video is not showing the rain and storm that we got outside? Not likely, huh? Okay, thank you very much. I'll try to remember to identify people. The next speaker is Mr. Robert Heyman.
Through the chair, Robert will not be speaking today, so we're going to move on to Janet May.
Okay. Janet May, are you online here?
Yes, I am here.
Okay, would you give your address, please?
Okay, I'm actually speaking on behalf of the Cliff Crest Scarborough Village Southwest Residents Association, but I do live on Harewood. However, I live north of Kingston Road, and I am not in the neighborhood, the immediate vicinity.
Yes,
but I do know the area very well. Pardon?
I have noted that you're speaking on behalf of the Community Association.
Okay. Okay, my name, I can start? Yeah.
Go ahead.
My name is Janet May, and I represent CSV-SWRA. We do not support the consent application for 8 Harewood Avenue and support the neighbors who have spoken this afternoon. We do support development that fits in with the existing physical character of our established neighborhood and do not destroy development that results in the destruction of mature trees that are protected under the city's bylaw. The community believes that this proposal does not meet the intent and purpose of Toronto's OP, which is one of the tests that a consent application must meet. According to 4.1.5, development in an established neighborhood will respect and reinforce the existing physical character of each geographic neighborhood, including prevailing size and configuration of lots. As Bonnie pointed out, this is determined by the most frequently occurring form of development in the neighborhood. We do not believe that this does that. Could you please pull up attachment 3 from the RA letter, please? It's a chart. No. Okay, thank you. Okay, so this chart shows the lot frontages of residential properties south of Kingston Road, and this is the larger neighborhood. So this is between Cathedral Bluffs Drive to the east and Brimley Road to the west, which is where 8 Harewood is situated. Out of 865 lots, only 2 lots have frontages less than 9 meters. Actually, there's 4. We're not totally up to date. We didn't include 53 and 55 in this, but the significantly smaller ones are 131 Eastville and 105 Harewood. These two properties are immediately south of a laneway that separates the retail properties on Kingston Road from the established residential area. Both of these lots are pie-shaped lots with a narrow frontage that widens towards the rear of the properties. So I think this should be noted that these two are definitely not like the rest of the lots in the neighborhood. Can you please pull up attachment 1 from the letter? The lot at 8 Harewood, as we have heard, is 17.68 meters. The average lot width in the immediate vicinity of 8 Harewood from Slowly to Broadmead is 13.14 meters. The minimum in this block is 12.19 meters, while the maximum is 24.38. The frontage of the proposed lots will be 8.84. Approval of the consent application will create 2 lots that are significantly narrower than the rest of the immediate neighborhood. I want to point out that this block does not include 53 and 55 Harewood mentioned in one of the applicant's submissions. It is my understanding that precedents should not play a part in the decisions of the Committee of Adjustment. But even so, the proposed frontages are still less than those at 53 and 55 Harewood. Could you please pull up the letter of objection number 2? There is actually a photograph in there of the tree. Robert was going to speak a little bit about the tree, so I thought I would just mention a couple of things about this tree. I think we're feeling kind of confused about the status of the tree because Forestry did submit a letter of objection, but now the applicant is saying that it will be preserved. I would like to note that preservation of trees is noted in multiple places in the official plan, and that urban forestry is working very hard to make sure that existing mature trees are not destroyed by infill developments. But we are concerned, as you can see from this picture, that we're not really sure if there is enough room to put a driveway in between the edge of the tree and the property line of the 2 houses that you see in this photograph. And I think that we would very much like to have this clarified. And my only other comment before I wrap up is that the applicant explains that he can't comply with the zoning bylaws because the current provisions of the zoning bylaw are inadequate for a reasonable design. But I ask you to look at the house immediately beside 8 Harewood, and it looks to me like this is a reasonable design and that there should be no need to sever the lot in order to get a reasonable design.
Okay.
And that's it. Thank you very much. Thank you for letting me go over a little bit too.
Thank you. I think that picture is very helpful with the tree and the existing lot behind it and the new lot right beside it. It's a very helpful picture. Okay, any questions for the speaker? Nope. All right. Okay, it's back to the applicant. I don't have any other speakers.
Through Madam Chair, I want to reiterate about the lot frontage. Our current lot frontage is 17.68 meter, which is the only one lot in the Harewood Road. Reminder, all of them had a short, I think, 12 meter frontages. Having said that, as I mentioned, there's an opportunity to use the unused space in this lot. We can easily sever them in 2 lots, and then it will be an 8.84, which is very minor in nature. In regards to one of the neighbors, the comment was for the water runoff. I believe we are in, our both lots are within 30% lot coverage. We are not asking for any variance in the front lawn or rear yard. So there is no issue concern with the water runoff. From ECS, there's no concern about the infrastructure present in 8 Harewood. So City of Planning Committee, we haven't received any memorandum. That means they're in compliance with our proposal. From city officials, we haven't received any concerns regarding our proposal. Only one, forestry, mentioned about not harming the mature tree. As I mentioned in our plan, we are not planning to damage or remove any of the mature trees from site. And as I mentioned multiple times, with this current lot area, it is almost, if you look at the lot size, our recommended lot size is 371 meter square, and we are proposing 358 square meter, which is very minor in the lot area. The only variance is the lot frontages, which is pretty comparable to 9.14 meter to 53 and 55 Harewood, which is, we'll consider the similar style. They had the similar lot size at 17.8 meter, and they severed them in two. And in the entire Harewood street, there's no other site except minus there's a 126 meter, which has very longer in the frontage and very narrow in the back. Other than that, there's no other site compared to the 8 Harewood, which is 7.68 meter frontage. So we urgently request the committee to grant our request because it meets all 4 tests of the planning committees. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Any questions? Thank you, sir. Okay, committee. We've received a fair amount of information this afternoon. This is an area of Scarborough that, again, we're fairly familiar with. Do I have any comments? Okay. Who wants to go first?
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, sir. Thank you for all everybody's presentations. This is a street with great diversity on it. It is a street that has, actually, before I go there, I'll just summarize by saying this. I find the application meets the 4 test rule, and it's with the general idea of our city planners right now. Looking at the street, because of what I've heard from the residents and neighbors, is important. And I was looking for if this was a big departure from what they're expecting. The street is incredibly diverse. Some of the homes, 14, 16, and 18, are over 2 stories. There's 4-car driveways. There's double driveways. There's significant development on this street. And I'm not sure that I can fully support the idea that we not look at this application and approve it just because people are concerned about some of the things that were mentioned today, especially the change of it and water runoff and other sewage issues that our city departments have already approved. So, thank you.
Okay. Any other comments, Mr. Reed?
Thanks, Chair. I agree with my colleagues' comments. I think this is a very well thought out application. I think the application package is quite good, and that the table that you provide showed, which was showing the required elements under the zoning and what's being provided, it goes to show that these 2 buildings have been designed with an eye towards the zoning bylaw. There's been efforts to remain within the coverage, within the length, within all the setbacks, and I think that's really admirable. I know neighbors had concerns about the lot frontage, but we're talking about a difference of 1.6 meters, which is, I can't see that being a meaningful impact in terms of fitting into the neighborhood. I don't think many people would be able to distinguish that with their eyes. The one concern I did have was with that gorgeous tree in front, but I think the urban forestry condition would take care of that. I mean, they'd have the ability to refuse it if they weren't happy with it. So I'm happy to support this application as well.
Okay. Mr. You want to move to a motion? Okay. All right, I want to speak first, and then we'll move to your motion, okay? I have a problem with the consent application. The lots being provided here are 8 meters. There's 82 properties on Harwood Avenue, south of Kingston Road. 79 of them meet the zoning restriction of 10 meters. There's only 3 that don't. I have a great deal of concern when I start to see lots in this area where they want to divide it in half. It's an area undergoing change. And either we're going to say, yes, 8-meter lots is just fine, or we're going to say, no, the pattern of the neighborhood, even though there's new houses on that, should meet the zoning bylaw requirement of 10.5 and acknowledge that the majority of the lots, 79 of the lots on that road, are at 12.5 meters. I think it's an area where we're constantly being asked to make smaller and smaller and smaller lots with greater and greater density and footprint. I am aware, and especially on a day like today when we've got flooding going on, of the concerns about flooding and the fact that certain parts of the municipality are listed for studies, but the studies haven't been done. So I have a difficulty with this consent application. I don't believe it meets the requirements of fitting into the character of the area. It would create the smallest lots, and smallest lots by 4 meters in frontage is a reasonably small lots. So I have some concerns with this. Those are my comments. Yes, Mr. Taylor.
Yeah, I'd like to comment, I guess, basically comment on your remarks, Madam Chair. I don't, average lot size is important to sort of define the character of a neighborhood, but our job is to look at the incremental difference between the proposed frontage and the frontage allowed by the zoning bylaw, which is less than the predominant frontage on the street. However, as of right, the frontage is 10.5. This proposed frontage is only 1.2 less than that. I think that's significant, especially when the current lot has a frontage of 17.7. It has the most frontage by far on this street. So what's better, lots 1.5 meters less or a lot 7 meters wider that can accommodate potentially, by my math, a 4,500 square foot house? And in this block, I don't see any that big. I see some 3,000, some 3,200s. But I think what's proposed here is, again, I'll call it sensitive intensification. I think it's the best outcome for this property, given its extraordinary frontage. The lot areas he's proposing, as the gentleman pointed out, very close to what's required. So it's, I'll be fully supportive of this application, the consent and the variances. Those would be my comments, Madam Chair. Thank you.
In response, I looked at what is in the area and looked at what will happen to the other lots, particularly the ones on Brook Lawn and at the corner of Harwood and Broadmead. I think we're going to start to see those lots too divided in half, or because if we start to say we can have 8-meter lots, there are a number of lots in this area that could be divided and meet that 8-meter lots. It's really looking at what is the character, what will happen with this, bearing in mind that, yes, it is desirable to have more housing, but we also have to take into account the community character. We have to take into account the physical character. Again, we're, what, lot away, 2 lots away from the bluffs. So we've got some, and I looked to see, engineering and construction services have given us no conditions. They're satisfied. So that's where I stand. I'm ready to move forward.
Just a question, Chair, to what you said, just a clarification. 2 lots away from the bluff or 2 streets away from the bluffs?
2 lots,
2 lots, okay.
yeah. The south side of Broadview is on the bluffs. You can see on the plan that that park there is part of the bluffs. It's a sensitive area. And I was looking to see whether engineering and construction services had said anything, and they haven't.
They are saying no consent agreement required.
Yeah, they're fine. In spite of we got a drainage report that's supposed to be done, but it will be done at some point, no doubt, when they take a look at all these areas that are having drainage problems and sewer backups. But that's not something that we can address today. So, are we ready to take a vote?
If I may, I see an ECS report in connection with this application.
Yes, there is
Yeah.
one, and it says, please be advised they reviewed the material and the requirements for this severance
Okay,
will be satisfied through the building permit process.
okay,
Basically, we have no problems.
all righty.
No consent agreement required. Okay, so, and I assume forestry will look at that big tree. Okay. Do I have a motion? Mr. Khan?
Thank you, Madam Chair. After listening to for and against and my colleagues, my mind is little bit churning what to make of it. But anyhow, looking back to engineering construction, no consent agreement required, and 6 variances, and also listening to the in opposition, I have made up my mind that concerns are legitimate and they are fine, and trees will be looked after, as you mentioned, by the forestry department. Therefore, I move in the motion that this application be approved with forestry conditions.
Okay. This is an application for the consent and 2 variances.
6 variances.
2 variance applications, sorry. Yes. So 6 variances on each application, so 12 variances, but 2 variance applications. Is your motion for the consent and the variance?
That's right, ma'am.
Okay, that's all I'm trying to get through here. Do I have a seconder?
I'll second that, Chair, please.
Okay, Mr. Reed. So moved by Mr. Hahn, seconded by Mr. Reed. Approval for the consent application subject to urban forestry and for the 2 variance applications. All those in favor? All those opposed?
Through the chair, you need to, because we don't have video, you need to, each person, you need to go to each person, yay or nay,
Okay,
for the vote.
let's do this in order then. Mr. Taylor,
Yay.
Mr. Stinson,
Yay.
Mr. Hahn,
Yes.
Mr. Reed,
Yay.
and Mrs. McCauley, nay. Okay, sir, your application has been approved.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, the board. Thanks.
Okay, we're moving on to item number 19. From 19 to 24, the only item number 23 has comments from others than the applicant. So from 19 is 55 Rydown Avenue. Is the applicant online?
Panel members. I'm the applicant. My name is Felix Leifer.
Okay. Just give me a minute, please, sir.
Sure.
This is an application to demolish the existing first floor and construct 2 new stories on the existing basement walls. The variances again, there are 6 variances with this application. And there was a previous decision. So perhaps the best thing, because I was wondering why we had a previous decision and then this change, if in your presentation you could address the difference between the previous decision and the application before us.
Certainly.
Okay, so Mr. Leacher, please proceed.
Okay. So as you mentioned, this application was in front of you in November last year and was approved. We are back here today as there was a mistake by calculating the FSI. There has been no change to the plans at all. So exactly the same plans are in front of you. And most of the variances in front of you have been approved exactly the way they are here today. So variance number 2, 3, 4, and 6 were approved in November as they are. And there's a change to the variance number 1 regarding the FSI. It was recently approved at 0.74 and is now requested at 0.9 times the lot area. And the variance number 5 was missed of the last application. That is not the main wall height, but it's the extent of the parapet wall beyond the main wall height. I would quickly explain the FSI. We submitted a building permit application with the last decision we got. The zoning examiner got back to me and said he couldn't approve zoning as the FSI was different from what she had on her notice, but she couldn't resemble how she got to the number and why. So the only way to get approval was coming back to here today. The proposed FSI includes the entire basement that is due to the existing grading. If we would exclude the basement floor area, we would come to an FSI of 0.62, which is only 2.5% higher than the permitted square footage, but a lot or 14.23 square meter larger than the as of right by the zoning bylaw.
Okay.
If you go to my presentation document, you can quickly discuss the height and the parapet wall. That would be page 3 of my cover letter.
All right. I think I understand that the difference really is how they calculate the basement FSI, and that's why you're back here predominantly, having got approval.
Yeah.
Okay.
Correct.
Any questions from? Yes, Mr. Hahn.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would like to ask about variance number 1. Previously, it was approved 0.74 and now it is applied for 0.90, a little bit more. Could you explain to me, please?
Okay.
Unfortunately, not like the zoning examiner calculated a 0.74, but they couldn't explain to me how they made this calculation. So I don't know how she reached the 0.74 in the previous calculation. I know that the 0.90 is correct and includes the entire basement, which is roughly, the basement is measuring 84 square meters.
Okay,
So you stick with 0.90?
yes.
Yes, 0.90 is our proposal.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, so take this back into committee. Do I have a motion? Mr. Reed.
Thanks, Chair. I'm happy to bring a motion. I think that what happened was a bit of a technical oversight, but regardless of that, just looking at this application on its own merits, I think this is a sensitively designed building, and the variances that they're pursuing are minor in nature. So I'm happy to move approval of this application without condition.
Let me just double check. There's no condition from trees?
Not that I know of, no.
Okay, all right. So I have a motion for approval, seconded by Mr. Khan. All those in favor? Okay, Mr. Taylor's in favor, Mr. Stinson's in favor, Mrs. McCauley's in favor.
You need to, under procedure, you need to do each individual person, yay or nay.
All right. Shall we have an opportunity to do this again? Mr. Taylor, yay or nay?
Yay.
Mr. Stinson?
Yay.
Mrs. McCauley, yay.
Yay.
Mr. Reed?
Yay.
Thank you. That application is approved unanimously. Thank you very much, sir. We don't have any coverage yet. It's not raining that hard out there, is it? Okay, so we'll move on. Our next item is item 20, 3171 to 3181 Eglinton Avenue. Let me just, I think. Item 20 is an application for an existing apartment building to reduce the south lot line to a setback to allow for a generator. Property is located on the southwest corner of Eglinton and Markham Road. Is the applicant online? So, Mr. Leacher? No, sorry, Mr. Wood.
Hi, Madam Chair. Can you hear me?
We can. Would you give your name and address,
Wonderful.
please?
Certainly. Madam Chair, members of the committee, I'm Neville Wood. I'm an architect with LGA Architectural Partners located at 310 Spadina Avenue. I'm the authorized agent on behalf of the property owner, which is the Toronto Community Housing Corporation.
Okay.
The matter...
I understand this is a proposal to put in a new generator. We've had a couple of questions about the generator. Perhaps rather than doing a presentation, I could have you answer questions. Mr. Hahn, you had some questions.
Thank you, ma'am. Yes, I do have a question, and that question is, where is the generator on plan located?
Through you, Madam Chair, the generator is indicated in the site plan that was provided as part of the original application to committee. There is also an open building permit on file with the city that indicates the generator configuration in more detail. If we zoom in to the bottom right of the site plan, if we have the ability to do so, that area there.
Item 6.
So that's correct. Yes.
Yeah.
So you can see there are two smaller gray areas marked on the site plan adjacent to a larger dark gray area. So the larger dark gray area is indicating an exit stair pop-up from the parking garage structure underneath the courtyard, and the two smaller gray areas to the left of that are indicating the location of the proposed generator.
Okay.
Sir, through you, madam, I may ask, thank you. Sir, how far this generator is from the main building? What is the distance between generator and the building?
It would be in excess of 9 meters. I don't have, through you, Madam Chair, I don't have a specific number, but I have been assured by our electrical engineer that the placement of that is in conformance with all applicable applicable codes.
Okay. Any further questions?
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Stinson?
Thank you, Chair. Sir, the description you gave, the generators will go beside a row of parking spots?
So there's an existing row of parking, as you can see there. The structure immediately to the east of the proposed generator location is an existing one-story exit stair pop-up. So that is an enclosure which houses the existing exit stair, serving as an exit from the parking garage underneath.
Okay, I see that. And I guess by looking at that, I can see through Google Earth too, it's at the complex's center with a lot of other noisy things like playgrounds and basketball courts. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And one more question. These generators are for emergencies?
Through the chair, that is correct. This is an emergency backup generator intended to service 3171 and 3181 Eglinton in the event of a power outage.
Thank you. I was just assuming that people would be okay with a little sound if they're still brewing their tea. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? No other questions? Okay, what's the wish of the committee? We're in committee now. Do I have a motion? Mr. Hahn.
Thank you, Madam Chair. After listening to the presentation, I think I'm of the view that this application be approved.
Okay, so recommended for approval. There are no conditions. Do I have a seconder? Mr. Stinson.
Thank you, Chair. I will second that.
Okay. I have a motion for approval from Mr. Hahn, a seconder from Mr. Stinson, and we now have to go through item by person, yay or nay. Mr. Taylor.
Yay.
Mr. Stinson.
Yay.
Mrs. McCauley.
Yeah.
Mr. Hahn.
Yes, ma'am.
And Mr. Reed.
Yay.
Okay, that matter is approved unanimously. Thank you very much. I think we probably need a generator to fix whatever computers we're having difficulty with. But thank you very much, sir. You've been approved. We'll move on. Okay, the next item is item number 21. Okay, 21, 22, 23, and 24. Mr. Randall, does this mean that they can hear us, but they can't see what we're doing? Is that what the issue is?
That's correct. Well, I can.
As long as you tell me they can't see me, that's fine. Well, if they can see me, I'll stop and put some lipstick on. I am moving forward without any further ado to item number 21, 2 Lejeune Road. Tam O'Shanter Community. Is the applicant online? Thank you. So,
Madam Chair and members of the committee.
this is an application to construct a new 2-story dwelling, and you've got 6 variances that you're requesting. Please proceed.
For the record, my name is Sean Tusi, and I'm the principal at Mimar Architects, Inc. The address is 2323 Youngest Street, Unit 503, M4P2C9, representing the owner. As you mentioned, Madam Chair, this is a new construction. If it is possible for the staff to share the presentation that we have submitted.
Yes, I think we can do that.
That would be great. While they're pulling up, so this is a new construction. It is a typical variances that you would get. None of the items are setting precedents, and for all of them, there has been numerous approvals at the committee. I will sort of start with the setback because it is a corner lot. As you can see, the orange area is what we're asking for the variances. Of the setback is really just portion of the building because of the shape as well as being a corner lot. And if you can now go to the drawings and look at the height, which is the other variances that are assuming might create, may need an explanation. So that is only 0.5 meter extra height requested. And if it is okay for the staff to open up the actual drawings, and if they open the drawings, they can go to, let's say, side drawings, the page A09, or any of the elevations really that shows the shows the side, or yeah, that would be good. Any of them that we could zoom into the roof. As you can see, it is a multi-step roof, and that 0.5 meter is the part that you have a lot of a slope. So it would literally, you're seeing it right now because you're looking at it as elevation. But if somebody is driving or walking in the street, they literally will not see that extra square footage because because of the perspective, it will get hidden behind the actual roof. So, and the other thing is the FSI, or the square footage, which if you notice on the site plan, it is created without creating any building length or width or violating any setback, except for that that sort of jogged area, the orange area. So because of that, we think the additional variances are created without creating any extra building length or setback issues. And also the height is something that is extremely minor. The 0.5 meter doesn't even, again, the people that are walking, driving will not even notice that extra height. So for those reasons, we believe it is a reasonable project. It fits the 4 tests of the bylaw. We respectfully request for your approval. If any questions, I would be happy to answer.
Okay, thank you very much. Are there any questions? Not seeing any questions. What is the wish of committee? We're now in committee. Yes, Mr. Khan.
Thank you, Madam. We have 6 variances in front of us, and transportation has no objection in their letter of March 20. Forestry conditions are applied, and staff recommendations we have with condition. So I move this application be approved with conditions plus forestry conditions.
Okay. The one condition is that community planning has a condition that you would build in accordance with the plans that we have in front of us. Are you okay with that, sir? To the applicant.
Yes, Madam Chair.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. I just wanted to make sure that you were okay. Transportation services are satisfied with the location of the driveway. They say, in fact, it's a preferred location, and you've got the standard urban forestry conditions. Okay, so I have a motion from Mr. Hahn for approval.
I'll second that.
Seconded from Mr. Reed. All those in favor? Yeah, put up your hands.
Through the
Okay.
chair, you need to, one by one, the vote.
Yes, yeah.
No, you need to, each person, you need to confirm yea or nay, because we do not have
Yes,
video.
no, are you going to let me do that, or?
Well, you need to do it one by one before you do the show of hands. You don't need to do the show of hands.
Okay,
Mr. Taylor.
okay. Mr. Taylor, yea or nay?
Yay.
Mr. Stinson?
Yay.
Mrs. McCauley? Yea.
Yeah.
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 Mr. Reed?
Yay.
Thank you. Okay, sir, your application has been approved. Thank you very much. Moving on now to item number 22, 96 Toynbee Trail. Again, I believe we only have the agent online. Is the agent online? Okay. One moment, sir.
Yes, good afternoon. My name is Joe Dome, 133 Torresdale Avenue, agent for the owner.
Okay. We have a variance application. It's for coverage and for a projection, I guess, of the rear platform.
Yes, it's a fairly straightforward application for the one-story rear and side addition and rear deck to the existing one-story dwelling to accommodate family needs. There are the two variances proposed, one for the lot coverage, 41.32%, and deck encroachment to the rear yard setback. And I'd like to just note that the lot coverage of the dwelling itself, including the one-story addition and existing rear shed, is 36.67%, and the uncovered rear deck accounts for 4.65%. Due to variance 2, it's included in the lot coverage calculation, though it adds no impact for massing. So the dwelling itself, minus the rear shed, also accounts for 35.55%, which nearly meets the 35% bylaw. And its one-story nature mitigates massing. And furthermore, there's no rear yard soft landscaping variance requested. Planning staff are in support of the application with the conditions to tie to the site plan with the specified lot coverage breakdown. The owners have also gathered 4 letters of support on file from the adjacent neighbor at 94 Toynbee, as well as 80, 78, and 76 Regency Square, which are abutting properties directly to the rear. And overall, we feel the application is quite reasonable and minor in nature, and I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Okay, thank you very much. I note that the community planning have a fairly detailed request that the variance condition, variance number 1, the maximum permitted lot area be limited to a maximum combined house and shed lot coverage of 36.67% with a maximum rear yard deck lot coverage of 4.65%. I'm assuming that that's because what you've got is a whole bunch of little things and they just want to make sure that it's tied down. Do you have any problems with that?
No.
Okay. And then the second part is that it be the condition that they build substantially in accordance with the proposed site plan detail as prepared. Okay. So do I have any comments or questions from committee? Seeing none, do I have a motion from committee? Mr. Reed.
Thanks, Chair. I'm happy to move approval of this. I think these the variances being requested are minor, and I think that the community planning conditions will ensure that that is as such when this is built. So approval with subject to the 2 community planning conditions, please.
Thank you, Mr. Reed. Do I have a second, Mr. Stinson?
Chair, I would like to second that.
Okay, I have approval from Mr. Reed A second from Mr. Stinson. Be prepared to say yay or nay as I call your name. Don Taylor.
Yay.
Mr. Stinson again.
Yay.
Mrs. McCauley. Yay.
Yeah.
Mr. Hahn.
Yeah.
Mr. Reed.
Yay.
Okay, that application is approved. Thank you very much, sir. Okay, moving on to item number 23, which is 137 August Avenue. We have the agent and two neighbors who wish to speak on this matter. Okay. This is an application to construct a garden suite in the rear yard. The requested variances really are dealing with the parking. Parking may not be in the front yard. A portion of the parking space is located in the front yard, and the width of the parking space is 2.32 meters rather than 2.6 meters. So is the agent online? Would you give us your name and your address, please, sir? Mr. Azzel?
Through the chair, Mohammed, you have been unmuted.
Sir, can you hear us? Have we lost the applicant?
Through the chair, Mohammed, you have been unmuted.
To those who may be listening, I see I have two neighbors who are proposing to speak as well. We are trying to get in touch with the agent. We've lost a connection with him, and we've asked him to call in again. If we don't hear from him within 5 minutes, we'll go on to our last item and come back.
Through the chair, I believe the agent is having difficulty signing in. He's getting some assistance on his own end. My suggestion would be move to the last item and then come back to this item after.
Okay. All right. For those who are listening for the application at 137 August Avenue, the applicant is still having difficulty connecting with us, so we're going to move on to item number 24, which is 4 Lejeune Road.
Through the chair, and we will come back to
We will come back to 137 August Avenue. Okay. Are you able to connect with?
Good afternoon.
Are you?
Good afternoon, Madam Chair and members of the committee. My name is Sean Tusi. I'm the office principal at Mimar Architects,
Okay,
Inc.
thank you.
For the record, the address. Yep.
Yep. Okay. This is an application in the almost adjacent to your previous application on 4 Lejeune Road in Tam-o-Shanter community, and again, you have 4 variances. Do you wish a presentation, committee? We don't need a presentation. Do you have any? 24, item 24. Do you have any questions? Yes, Mr. Stinson.
Thank you, Chair. Sir, are you aware of the one letter of objection?
Through you, Madam Chair. Yes, the concern is very general. It doesn't have any specific item for us to be able to address, and in general, it just has a concern for all the variances, which I would be happy to go over. It needs to be obviously the variances do exist, but we believe they meet the 4 tests in terms of being minor. It is very similar to the previous application, the very similar heights, the depth is in compliance, as well as all the setbacks. This one, we don't even have a setback variances because it's not a corner lot. So we think in general, it really meets the 4 tests. And there's a concern about houses being 1-story, but a 2-story house is fully permitted in that area. So if it seems the only thing I could find out of that letter is the concern over why this is a 2-story, which I believe the answer is that the 2-story part is the as of right. So even if the Committee of Adjustment would refuse it, still this house could be built with a 2-story in mind. So with that said, we believe the concern is not really at least related to the Committee of Adjustment.
Thank you, and that was my understanding. I just wanted to see if you had a different view. Thank you.
Okay. Any further comments? No. Do we have any conditions? Just urban forestry condition? Okay. Do I have a motion? Mr. Taylor.
Thanks, Madam Chair. Yeah, I'm good to move approval. I found this application, the 4 variances meet the 4 tests under the Planning Act. So I move approval subject to urban forestry conditions 2 and 3.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder? Mr. Hahn?
I will second the motion.
Okay, I have a motion from Mr. Taylor for approval, seconded by Mr. Hahn. It's subject to urban forestry conditions. All those in favor? Mr. Taylor?
Yay.
Mr. Stinson?
Yay.
Mrs. McCauley?
Yay.
Mr. Hahn?
Yes.
Mr. Reed?
Yay.
Okay, that application is approved. Thank you very much. Okay, we will try to go back to
23.
item 23. Have we been able to contact the?
Through the chair, Mohammed, you have been unmuted.
Good. So this is an application for 137 August Avenue. We have 2 neighbors who wish to speak. And your proposal is to construct a garden suite in the rear yard. The variances really are dealing with parking in the front yard, and I believe we have comments from Transportation Planning saying they have no objection to that. Transportation Services, they have no objection to your variances. So, sir, do you wish to do a quick presentation?
Through the chair, he's currently trying to call in.
So we lost him. Well, until he calls in, I don't believe we can go to the other speakers. So let's take a 5-minute stretch, wait for him to call in. Don't move very far. Let us know as soon as he's called in. I'm going to stand up for a minute. Hello, sir. Mr. Afzal?
Through the chair, it's up to you, but you may wish to wait for Member Stinson to come back.
Okay. Are the other two online? Okay. Okay, we're going to wait. We were taking a short break while we were waiting for you to connect in with us. And as soon as we have all 5 members here, we will proceed. Okay. Mr. Afzal, I think we're ready to proceed with your application. Do you wish to make a short presentation?
Hello. Hi, my name is Muhammad and last name is Afzal, A-F-Z-A-L. And I am the agent for this application for minor variance. we applied for a garden suite in the backyard, and one of the requirements of fire safety was to provide a 1 meter egress path on the side of the house. That egress path must be located on the parking on the south side. So if I provide that egress path, then the parking width is reduced to 2.3 meter. And also because of the chimney there, I need to push the parking a little bit toward the front. And this encroachment into the front yard of the parking is 0.8 meter. So these are only two minor variants requested. So these are basically, these were not the zoning requirement, but since these were the requirement of the fire safety department, and when I try to meet those requirements, then the zoning deficiencies came out. So I request the committee please to give us relief on this issue. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much. I understand that you're converting the garage to a garden suite, and that garden suite meets all the requirements of the zoning bylaw. But in doing so, you have lost your parking space, and that's why the item is in front of us. You're having to put the parking space in part of the front yard, and you have to accommodate the width of the parking space to, I guess, get around what you were calling your chimney there. I also note that transportation planning is okay with this proposal. So we have comments from them saying they have no problem. Any questions from the committee members? No, I have no questions from the committee members. We have two people who have signed up to speak. Which one is online?
Through the chair, Leslie has been unmuted.
Okay. Leslie Ryside, would you please proceed?
Through the chair, I'm going to unmute Sophia.
Okay.
Yes, hi, good afternoon.
And
I am here.
And can you give us your name and address, please?
Certainly. My name is Sophia Popovsky. I reside at 139 August Avenue,
Okay.
which happens to also be my childhood home as well. My mom still lives at the address.
You're at 139 August Avenue?
Yes, which is it's a it's attached to the application.
Okay. I have someone also at 139 August Avenue by the name of Kelly. I'm a little
Daniel Kelly.
Yeah.
Daniel Kelly is with Leslie Rayside. He's the other one. He's on the other line. He's on the line with Les.
Okay. So, Sophia, you reside at 139 August Avenue, correct?
I do, yes, along with my mother.
All right. Go ahead and tell us what your comments are.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit more than comments, but I'll definitely go ahead and be as quick as I can. I'll be as quick as I can, I promise. I know it's late. My mom, just a little bit of a background, my mom has resided at this address for 61 years. And now just a brief rundown. I know this is the way the future with these garden suites or units. But starting off last year, a 50-year-old mature apple tree was cut down in the vicinity of where this this property is supposed to be built. That was a big concern because we were not here when it was done. But anyway, my other concern is this property, the drawings that we received, they are not legible. We cannot make out. I mean, maybe you have to be a planner or I don't know, but we cannot make out anything. They're not clear. I can't tell if it's a single story, 1 story, 2 story, and it's right in my mom's backyard. Obviously, it's going to block her privacy and her wall. It's going to build a wall on blocking her privacy. Now, like I said, I understand how it works, but this street is predominantly vacant owners. They are rented, so it may not affect them so much as it will myself and Leslie as well next door. But I have even more concerns as far as like I said, the structure. I can't make out anything, and obviously there's only one driveway there. I'm concerned about fire getting back there. If that's a big concern. Like I said, my mom lives here. She's 81 years of age, and she's been here for 61 years. And I also have a question as well, that the application fee that was filed was for a minor variance to an existing property. This application is not for a variance. It's a totally separate structure. So if someone can clarify that, I would greatly appreciate that as well.
Okay, thank you. Let me try a few things. First of all, you and your mother live at 139 August. Is that a semi? So that you've got
It is, yes. It's a
okay. So
yes.
that you share a wall with 137.
A wall.
Okay.
Exactly. Yeah.
All right. The proposal, I believe, the 137 has a brick garage in the rear yard, and he is going to convert that to a garden suite. In doing so, he has to provide a place for his car, and that's why we have the variance in front of us, that he needs to provide a parking space. Doesn't have anything to do with the garden suite, other than the garden suite is taking over the garage, which would have been his parking space. That's really all that we've got at the moment. Do you have any particular concerns with either the parking space, or, well, that's all that we can address really is the parking space. And he's proposing to park on his driveway, but he will be not as far back as totally behind the house. I'm simplifying.
Okay, but the front of the, right, I understand, but the front of the house has a shared grass with my mom's property because it's attached.
Right. And as
So are you saying that there is going to be a parking spot in the front? Is that what I'm understanding?
well, there is an asphalt driveway, and we'll clarify with this with the applicant, but my understanding is that he is proposing to park the car on the driveway. He's not proposing to park
There's
the
only
car
a single
in front of the house
but
at
there's
all.
only a single, right, I understand, but there's only a single driveway. So to get to the back of the property where this proposed garden suite will be, there's only one driveway. So how, I'm not quite understanding, then maybe I'm missing something. It's a single one car width.
Right. Yes. Okay.
So
I think that's about as much as I can go. I'll let the applicant, when we've heard from your other neighbor,
yes,
try to address it a little bit easier.
and he's actually here, right here with me, because he couldn't get on over next door. So he came over because he knew I was on. So he is here with me right now. So
okay,
if
good.
you want to speak to him, he's right here.
We need to
1 second.
So we have Sophie at 139. And who else do we have?
Daniel Kelly and Leslie Rayside from 141.
Okay.
But Daniel is speaking. These are please appreciate, these
Yep.
are elderly seniors. We already came there today in that pouring rain, and we couldn't wait there. So, but Daniel is here. He will speak on behalf of Leslie.
Okay.
But I have one question before please, if I may. I'm just wondering, why are we getting notification now that there's only a variance? Why were we not notified of this garden suite before a variance?
Okay, I'll answer that. That if they're allowed to build the garden suite, which I understand they are allowed to build a garden suite once they've got all their plans in, their plans have been checked, then there is no need for a variance. There's no need for them to come to the city, and there's no need for them or us to inform you of that they are going to build this unit. Okay, Mr. Stinson, you were going to try.
Thank you, Chair. Ms. Popovsky, are you still there?
Yes, I'm here, yes.
Okay, just bear with me and quickly, I'll try to make this very clear.
Sure.
137 has its own driveway. When you are on the street and you face 139 and 137, 137 has its own driveway on the right side of the front door. 139 has its driveway at the front door on the left side, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so 137 has its own driveway. I just want to make that clear. Thank you.
Right. You're welcome.
Okay.
But it's a single driveway. It's not a double driveway. It's a single driveway. So one car can only go through at a time. So this property is at the back. So they need to go through that single driveway.
Yes, anyone that has a car that wants to get to that back dwelling, if they want to take the car back there, there's nothing saying they can park the car at the front or anywhere on that driveway and walk. And there's no requirement to
No.
Yeah. Okay.
No.
Let's see what Mr. Kelly and his concerns are, and perhaps that will clarify things for you.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair.
Good afternoon.
Can you hear me?
Yes. Could you give us
So if I
your
may have your
address,
indulgence,
sir?
yeah, I'm at 139.
141 is
141 is the neighbors, and I'm at 139 currently because I couldn't get the web error to work when I was over there.
Okay, and what is your the residence? Is your existing residence 141?
No, 139.
Okay, so you're in 139. That's where
Right.
you're living. Are you living out there?
Yes.
Okay, so, Mr.
Yes, it's my mother's residence as well. Sophie's my sister.
Okay. And we don't have anyone from 141?
Well, I went over there to set them up because they're elderly, and I was going to speak for him, but I couldn't get it going, so I had to come back here.
Okay, all right. Okay, so Mr. Kelly, proceed with your questions or concerns.
Sure. Just that we have your indulgence. It's been a very long day. All four of us have drove up there. We were there from 12:30 to 1:30. Things were really behind there, so we came back. We've been waiting to get back on here. I'm sure your days are all long too, but it's been a very frustrating day for us. So some of the concerns are, I'm hearing now, as I was present, that the garden suite was not something that the neighbors had to actually consult with their neighbors. They just had to put plans into the city and they could go ahead. And my concerns is that when Mom bought this place, all bylaws, zone laws, she had a beautiful backyard garden, and now she's going to have this 2-story. From my understanding, the neighbor told me it's going to be a 2-story garden suite. Now, when I heard that, I thought, well, maybe there's going to be some violin players or someone maybe dancing around the yard, this lovely garden suite, but that doesn't appear to be the situation. So that's one of the concerns, is the privacy of this garden suite that's going to be 2-story high.
Okay.
The other concerns are, of course, there's going to be more traffic in the area. and the fact that most majority of the houses on the street are renters, so there's going to be no one have any kind of concerns at all because they don't actually participate in the community. So for those concerns alone, I think we should really be some kind of a hearing to actually talk about this two-story structure that to me is not a minor variance. It's a huge construction in the backyard.
Oh.
And the plans that we visibly looked at, every time I tried to blow them up, I could not decipher exactly what this structure was, if it's a one-story, a two-story. But according to a neighbor across the street, he tells me that that neighbor had told him it's going to be a two-story garden suite.
Okay. Anything else that you want to add? I'm going to ask the applicant to explain the garden suite. I think I've explained why the application is before the committee, and it really has nothing to do with the garden suite. So we can't say yay or nay to the garden suite. That's permitted. What we can do is we can ask the applicant to provide you with a bit more information about the garden suite, and then we will proceed to talk about his parking space in his front yard.
So just prior to that, Madam Chair, if you could, so you're saying anybody in the city of Toronto wants to put a garden suite, they just have to submit plans and that's it? They don't have to go to neighbors for any kind of hearing to have a hearing on it?
That's correct. A garden suite is very much like building a house. If you want to build a house, you have to get plans. You have to get to the city, and the city has to approve all those plans, and then you can proceed. With a garden suite, it's almost identical. If you want to build a garden suite, there's a whole host of items that you have to cover as to where you can put it, how big you can put it, how tall you can put it. And you have to come up with plans, and you have to come to the city with those plans and get a building permit for a garden suite. It's similar to if you wanted to build a new house, you'd have to get a building permit. So there's a whole...
Yeah, but with a building permit, you take into all your neighbors' consideration, whether it's going to be a semi-detached, two-story, whatever. We're getting no consent at all to be able to speak to this garden suite that, Mom's backyard is beautiful. Now she has this two-story that we still don't even know because the garage apparently is going to be torn down. So it's not like he's going to take the garage and fix it up because it's falling over. So they have to tear it down and build in the farther back in the backyard. If we had better plans, we could actually see what it is they're talking about because we can't decipher it from the plans.
Okay, I'm sorry. As a committee, we're not really dealing with the garden suite at all. Just like we would not be dealing with a new house as long as it meets all the requirements. So your best bet is to go back to the applicant, ask him to give you further information on the garden suite, and that's the best we can do for you. You can talk to somebody at the city and ask them what are the requirements for a garden suite. But the Committee of Adjustment, all we're talking about is a parking space.
So when we got a letter from all the neighbors in the area and we went online, all the plans were there for this garden suite. If you're only dealing with the park and variance, why was the need to have all this other stuff? If you're saying your total only job is to deal with a variance for parking.
Sometimes what is submitted is the applicant submits all sorts of material, and we don't say, well, we don't need that piece and we don't need that piece. What we do is we just bundle it all up with maybe 50 pages and send it out. And if it's got information in there that's beyond what we are concerned with, we know to not look at that. But I can understand from your point of view, you've got information on a garden suite. You may not even care about the parking space.
Exactly. That's our frustration.
Yeah,
right?
I can understand your frustration. I can't give you anything further. We can deal with the parking space. I understand that the applicant is in somebody's house here. Perhaps he can give you a bit further information on the garden suite. And I suggest, if that's the issue, that we continue to deal with the parking space, and let you and the applicant deal with the garden suite. Is that satisfactory, sir?
Well, it sounds like I don't have any options here as a paying taxpayer, paying taxes on my property, and someone can just come along and after whether we're living here for 65 years, enjoying the privacy of our backyard, have some two-story monster in the backyard, and him tearing down a garage. It sounded like you made it sound like he was just going to change the garage into a garden suite. He's not. He's tearing it down because the structure's falling over. So you have to literally take that down and move back and put a two-story monster garden suite that makes it sound like there's going to be some violin players in the backyard. It's just really sad.
Yeah, I understand your concern. I understand your concern. Unfortunately, I can't do anything about it. All I can do is deal with the rules that I have. I'm trying to assist you in explaining why you've got this and why, in fact, you've got the plans. The applicant submitted them. The city sends them out so that everyone has the opportunity to see whatever the applicant submitted.
So perhaps then I hear you loud and clear. Maybe if your applicant's still online, what is it about this parking space? I still don't understand it. It's a single driveway. Currently today, there's 3 and 4 cars parked in there. So if we're going to add another tenant in the back there, that's 5 cars. I think this should be deferred to someone comes out and look at this parking situation and see 2 and 3 vehicles there now. They're going to tear down a garage, put another 2-story garden suite, and then have another car, possibly maybe 4 or 5 in a single driveway.
Okay, I'm sorry, I'm not sure that we can even help you with that. The application for the parking
What's to do with
space,
the parking variance, isn't it?
Yeah, it's only dealing with the parking variance. And the application was submitted to our transportation planning section, and they said they are satisfied. So we've sent it off to the experts. The experts on the parking have said they are okay with it. So their information to us is either approve the parking or refuse the parking. But if the experts say it's okay, we would not look very good at refusing something that the experts say is okay.
And I'm hearing you loud and clear, but is it possible that when these parking experts come out here, they knock on our door so we can actually see what they're looking at? Because as I've already said, there's 4 cars parked there now. If we're adding another garden suite, that's another car in a single driveway.
Okay, sir, I'm sorry. I'm going to have to cut this off. Each speaker has 5 minutes. We spent longer than 5 minutes on this with you. I'm going to have to bring this back into the committee. The applicant has an opportunity to say something. Mr. Afzal, do you wish to comment?
Yes, madam. I have listened very carefully the observation from the neighbors. But I would request that all the zoning bylaw related to the garden suite was satisfied, and there was no zoning issue related to this garden suite reviewed to us. And of course, the zoning was approved, but when the fire department reviewed it and they asked me to provide a egress path, that's why I have to narrow down the parking space on the driveway. The reason, if I could not demolish the garage, then I cannot make the garden suite. And also, there is a grass. The city, we have provided grass there in the side yard, starting from the corner of the existing house to the front of the garden suite. So, planning-wise, there is no space for parking in this area, in the side yard, which is next to 135 number. So, in my opinion, this is just humble request to approve the variances regarding the parking, and other things are according to the laws and regulations. So anyway, this garden house and the landway suite, this process, these approvals started probably one years ago, and this is a continuous process. And I think people like to have these extra resident living dwellings to meet the increasing requirement of the residents in the area.
Okay, thank you
That's
very
all.
much, sir. I'd like to take this now into committee. Do we have any comments in committee?
Thank you, Chair. Thank you for the presentations and the questions, everyone. I see this as meeting the four-test rule. I understand the debate going on, but that's not in our purview, and I would be happy to put forth a motion approving the application.
Okay, I have a motion for approval from Mr. Stinson. Do I have a seconder? A seconder from Mr. Reed. Okay, this is the approval of the parking space, the variance. All those in favor? Mr. Taylor?
Yay.
Mr. Stinson?
Yay.
Mrs. McCauley? Yay.
Yay.
Mr. Hahn?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Reed?
Yay.
Okay, the matter is approved. Thank you very much. Thank you to everyone that has attended. This concludes the Committee of Adjustment meeting for today, April the 3rd. The only other item we have is the date of the next meeting, which is our next meeting is May the 1st, 2024. Okay, thank you, everybody. I need a motion to adjourn. I have a motion to adjourn. Mr. Stinson has a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn, I'm putting forth.
Okay, a seconder. Mr. Taylor has a motion. Okay, Mr. Taylor, do you agree to adjourn?
I do.
Stinson?
Yay.
McCauley, yay. Khan? Yes. And Mr.
Reed, yes, yay.
Reed, thank you. Okay, we are now finished.